your source for the best in local, regional, and national sports.
Oh, my goodness!
Here are Isaac Ropp and Jason Sakanik with Primetime on 1080 The Fan.
Hey, what it do?
Oh,
What's up? What's going on? Good Monday. You know, that Open reminded me that we are back to square one.
It's not super weak. It's not. It's
nothing.
It's not extra. Remember, we were extra hard hitting for a while.
Yeah, and then championship week and
Masters, right? When's the Masters?
playoffs.
59 days.
Well, I think that's
Not that Buck's counting.
No, I saw somebody tweet last night. Well, we're 60 days away from the Masters.
Well, I think that's probably the next.
Pitchers and catchers.
Yeah, but we're not going to have an Open for that.
We should.
We should.
I mean,
Anybody?
I'm
Is
not
that
doing it.
sponsored? Pitchers and catchers, is that sponsored by someone?
should be.
You know, just saying. It might be a while before we have an extra special Open where we're.
Well,
So I just want you to know we are not extra hard hitting. We're not at a championship level. We're just back to the
Yeah.
normal show.
well, it's like in the sports radio world, this begins our calendar year.
yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like
It's like-
right here.
Yeah, the NFL season, right?
It's
Like
all
this-
over.
Yeah, when the NFL season ends, and then remember, there's always the start to the league year, like where you can actually make trades and you got to cut guys and whatnot. This is kind of the start of our league
Our
year.
league
Yeah,
year.
it's like, all right, here we go.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, Buckley, your performance, we're going to evaluate it. All right.
All right, let me know what I need
These
to do,
birthday
Coach.
offs. A lot of issues right now as we look to retool and try to make a championship run next year.
I don't know about a championship run. Let's just try to keep the team together.
Rob is in
Keep the fans engaged and
Are you the
maybe
Jerry
keep playoffs on the
Dipoto
table.
of the fan.
Yeah, I mean, you know, like 54. What did he say?
54, right?
4%.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
That's a good number.
You know, Bucks are Polanco. You know what? We're going to be just fine.
Jorge Polanco,
That's good.
right over there, in the flesh.
Solid contributor, but not much to write home
I
about.
like where we're going with this. 54%, not setting the bar too low, not setting it too high, right in the middle,
Well,
profitable.
You know, we'll have March Madness.
Yeah.
We'll have the Masters. Although
Madness
you
will
know,
probably be the next. I
Yeah.
would guess it'd be the next sponsored week.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we'll be
guys-
up. We'll be probably
Do
up
something
at the
at Ala Nay,
casino,
maybe?
and, you know,
Yeah.
something along those lines.
Can't wait to bet on it.
Absolutely.
That's fun.
Didn't your Jayhawks go down to Kansas State this weekend?
They did.
What the hell, man?
Well, I told you.
I
they're
know.
not very good.
I was flipping around the old the tube there.
Well, I mean, they're good. They're just
and
not.
I saw Kansas. There was a couple minutes to play left, and they were
Yeah.
down by like 8. And I'm like, oh man,
They're not great. But you know, you got to hand it to those Kansas State Wildcats.
those
They
ninnies.
were terrible to start the year, and they've rattled off. I think they beat Kansas, not Houston, but they beat Iowa State, and
What sort of world are we living in where your 54% Dipoto ass is now giving credit
Yeah.
to Kansas State?
well, they're so cute. We beat them all the time. It's let's give them a couple. you
Oh,
know?
and by the way, the Vancouver Ford text line is in. Football is not over. I did see the commercial. The UFL right around the corner.
Yeah, I don't. I mean,
Football's over.
Hey, what about
Yeah.
what about hot Battle Hawk talk?
I'm with Buck.
Oh, are we gonna go over? Wait, who won the UFL last year? Oh, are we gonna talk about like a repeat? Are we a dynasty of the UFL? Anybody? Nothing.
I got nothing on the UFL.
Oh, sorry. Go Battle Hawks.
If he was trying to make a joke, it wasn't funny.
no, just no.
I'm sad. I'm always sports sad on the Monday after the Super Bowl
Well, it's been a hangover for a lot of people.
because I want football.
You can be angry about something. Everyone's angry. I was listening to my favorite morning show today. I thought Dirt was gonna have a freaking hemorrhage.
Did he cry?
I was just pissed about everything.
Why is he?
I
Well, it sounds like us. What are they doing?
Hey,
Stealing
hey.
our bits?
hated the game, hated Kendrick Lamar, hated the halftime in general. He was doing the old white man. He was calling for the marching band to come back. Hey!
says.
Hey!
his lips.
He was just angry.
tell what he's saying.
I saw someone say that white people will complain about not being able to understand Kendrick Lamar and then go put on a Pearl Jam record.
Yeah. That-
Hey, I love Pearl Jam. Shut up.
That is shockingly accurate and funny. I love that. Who said that?
It was. I'll
gets
see
credit
if I
for
can
that?
find it. It was someone on Twitter.
That is so good. But I would like to say I don't know what he's saying.
Well, you're not a rap guy.
Do you have to be a rap guy to be able to pick out lyrics?
Yeah, I think you have to have.
Kinda.
You do?
I like
Sometimes.
I am not a huge rap guy, but there are a handful I like, and Kendrick Lamar is one of my favorites. So I was excited, and yes, I did know what he was saying, and he murdered Drake, which was fantastic because I think Drake's a bitch. So if you were a white person that liked Kendrick Lamar, or you happen to just like rap, you probably thought that was great. But somewhere Ted Nugent and Bobert are like, I guarantee my dad on the couch somewhere was like, son of a bitch. bring back the marching.
Someone
band.
says we're going to overcorrect next year and do something like Nugent and Kid Rock out there.
Was that too racy for people?
I don't know. People are always upset about the halftime show, which is dumb in the first
Crip
place.
walking, looking great.
I mean, it was fine. I don't know.
Well, again, if you like a certain type of music,
He didn't screw it up.
I thought he was great. But
And
again, I like
he's
him.
shockingly short.
Yeah, he's a tiny little fella.
He's a little guy.
He's a little guy. Yeah, he's like
How tall is he?
I don't know if he's Bruno Mars little, but he's little. I've seen him in concert, and even in concert, not like I was like front row, but he's small.
5'5" listed,
Yeah, which
so maybe even shorter than that.
I don't know. I got to meet Bruno Mars once,
Yeah,
and I
he's
think
way
they
shorter
list
than
him at 5'5". Bruno Mars ain't 5'5".
Are musicians doing the sports bit where they list
Yeah.
taller than they are?
Well, no one. If you're, it's the weird paradox that if you're like 6'9", well, actually, if you're like in the NBA, if you're 6'11" or 7 foot, you try to go down. You don't want to be known as 7'1". But if you're like 5'5", you don't want to be 5'5". Like it's you got everyone fudges a little bit.
I was at a doctor's appointment the other day,
Yeah.
and they took my height.
Mhm.
I don't
And you're
know why.
shorter now? Are you shrinking?
I actually am.
Well, that's everybody.
They said I asked her rather cheekily, because I'm that guy. When I go to the doctor's office, I'm like, "Am I 6 foot yet?"
Yeah.
And she's
You're
like,
doing bits.
Yeah, I got bits. and
go
she's
the
like, "Yeah, sorry,
No.
you're under 5'11". I'm like, "Wait, under?
Ah,
Remeasure!"
Yeah.
I called for a remeasure, and she didn't do it,
I'm down 1/4 to a 1/2 inch.
so I'm pissed.
Yeah, I'm shrinking. Your spine compresses.
Yeah, I understand. It's just I'm spry and young and hot.
I think you're in a weird. So like you're.
Wait,
kind-
I'm none of those things. But
You're kind of in a sweet spot because I think like there's a certain acceptance anywhere from like probably 5'10" to like 6'1". I think you're just there. I don't think there's any sort of real. I think you're comfortable with where it's at.
you wouldn't tell if I'm 5'10" versus
Yeah.
5'11".
You're just kind of in that range.
Yeah.
But you get really tall or you get really short. That's where you get some people fudging a little bit.
Well, I've always wanted to be 6 foot, and sounds like the dream has been shot.
You got to do the Bobby Brady thing and just hang upside down.
Oh, is that what you do?
Well, I do-
Elongate your spine?
I do the inversion table to help stretch out my spine, and then the chiropractor just to kind of decompress. I don't think it's not helping, obviously, because I'm still shorter than I was when I played. But
Well, hey, we're not Kendrick Lamar, so that's
no,
good.
No,
He is
I
tiny.
would gladly trade places with Kendrick Lamar.
There's no way he's 5'5".
Probably not. He's like I said, he's a little fella.
And
He
look,
wears bell bottoms.
and then the little
and
bell
he's-
bottoms he had on made him
Hey,
look like a
works.
little. He made him look like a little doll.
The big
Are
jeans and the
bell
flowy
bottoms-
jeans are coming back, man.
They are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whether they're the baggy skater jeans or the bell-bottomy jeans with more material, definitely on the way back.
Yeah, that's how you know you're old when you look at that and go, God, what are they wearing? Apparently, that's in style now.
I don't know. I've never once watched someone do the halftime show and then thought to myself, well, that's what I wear on a day-to-day basis. Sometimes you just have to understand that they not like us and that's not for you and that's okay. It's like if Taylor Swift performs, that's not for me and that's okay. It doesn't mean that it's terrible
Tay-Tay?
simply because it's not for you.
Is she going to be out there next year, you think? Tay-Tay?
My
What?
guess is there will be a correction that will swing after because we had what? Usher, we had Rihanna, we had the Snoop, Dre, Eminem, Lamar. My guess is that it may swing back the other way, a scooch, but I don't really know where you go back. I don't know if you go full country. Do you drag out, there's always been talk that Metallica or like the Foo Fighters or Pearl Jam, someone like that.
Yeah.
Could
Do we
probably pull
want
something
safe? Is that what we're saying? Because
Yeah.
we're scared of Kendrick Lamar. So we have to go. Well, Taylor's, I mean, she's as safe
That's
as
about
it
as
gets.
safe as you get.
And she's huge.
Yeah, safe
The
as kids.
the Scuddy has always been with her that she has a deal with Coke, and she couldn't ever do it because it's the
Oh,
Pepsi
it's
halftime
Pepsi.
show.
Well, now it's the Apple.
Right. So I think that may change. From my sources are telling me
Yeah.
that may change Tay-Tay's availability for the
Yeah.
halftime show.
Yeah, I mean, she's the most popular woman on the planet.
And the ratings would just be. I mean, think about the ratings.
Yes.
The ratings are already great now, but
I love the
you
people
get
that are like-
Tay-Tay out there.
I was like, oh, she got booed at the Super Bowl. Yeah, I think Taylor Swift's doing just fine.
All the little girls be tuning in.
I don't think Taylor Swift has to worry about her popularity anytime soon.
Like the teenage girl is like the one market that the Super Bowl really doesn't have a grasp of.
No.
Then they throw Taylor Swift on there. Now they got them too.
I would be
What's next? The baby market?
What is the get Bluey out there? Or what is the Wiggles were the big ones when
Start going animated.
when my kids. if Taylor Swift were to perform at the halftime, because that's when the Super Bowl always peaks at the halftime, despite what Dirt and old angry men think. The halftime is the most watched part of the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to wager whatever the record is, 130 or whatever the peak viewership is. If Taylor Swift were to perform at the Super Bowl, that would be the highest rated TV show of all time. In that brief moment, that 15-minute window, that there will never have been a greater audience in TV history than that moment.
Because her concerts are never that widely available to that many people.
Well, and you're going to get the football dummies like us that are going to watch, even if you sit there and yell and complain, you still watch.
Yeah.
But the amount of people, the ancillary people, and as you mentioned, the teenage girls and all that would tune in, the number would be astronomical.
And that really was Serena Williams, huh?
Yeah, it threw me for a loop. I was watching it with I just had one buddy sitting on the couch with me, and no one outside of the BTJ thought that was Serena Williams. Dare I say, I thought she looked too young and hot.
Yeah.
I was kind of like, no.
It looked like her, but you're right.
Like
it's
a younger, hotter her.
Well, I think the biggest thing was, and I'm sure this is where they were coming from, is like, well, why would Serena Williams be up? Like, that doesn't make any sense.
Well, do you know the reason behind it now?
No, did they?
So she dated Drake.
It's part of the Kendrick Drake beef.
Oh.
And
It's to rub it in Drake's face even more.
And she's
In
from
his
Compton, and so is Kendrick Lamar, and he
my
always
gosh.
makes fun of Drake. I mean, we don't need to get into the whole thing, but trust me, the Drake-Kendrick feud is phenomenal.
Levels to that thing.
And Kendrick Lamar absolutely has buried arguably the biggest, I don't know, rap hip-hop star of the last 15 years. He's buried him. He absolutely made him his bitch, and it was phenomenal.
Now, why do they hate each other? Do I want to ask that question?
It's a whole... It's deep. It's been going on for a while, and this last year it really kind of exploded, and then it's officially over. Drake is such a bitch that he sued Kendrick Lamar and the record company, which is also his record company, for hurting his feelings.
Yeah, for like slander, something like that.
Hey, Serena looks good, though.
Serena looks great.
And you might have also noticed that Kendrick was wearing a chain that had the lowercase a on it.
I did see that.
That is because he has a lyric dissing Drake that says, trying to strike a chord, and it's probably A minor.
And that's
Yeah.
the big
And that's
line in the
an
song.
A
But that's
minor
also
symbol.
the logo
So-
of one of his companies.
But it's also a direct shot at Drake.
He's calling him a pedo. So
Yeah.
I'm with Dirt.
look at you.
I can't handle all
Hey,
this.
you and Dirt can get together and be like, "Where's the?" I think my dad would like to talk to you guys about maybe starting a petition about
Dig
the
up
marching
Tom
band.
Petty, see if he's still available.
There's our Super Bowl party next year. Me, Dirt, your dad, and dead Tom Petty. I don't know why Tom Petty would. Oh, you mean to play?
Do a halftime show.
Yeah. Who would we want? Who's realistic that we would want as the halftime show?
That actually do it?
Yeah, like a realistic halftime show that we would be like, yeah. Because you remember when The Who played?
Yeah.
I'm sure
Well,
your
I mean,
dad loved that.
The biggest act that hasn't done it, and would be Metallica.
Mm.
I love how you, regardless of what you think, that is the biggest rock band of the last 50
but
years.
That's not the question. The question is what band would get us old curmudgeons
Well, have you,
excited most?
again, the biggest band.
It's not Metallica.
Dude,
It's not. I'm telling you, I'm one of the curmudgeons. I'm telling you, that doesn't get me excited.
Okay,
So what do you need? Like,
but this is Rob. They sell more albums. They sell more tickets
I know.
than any old group. So what?
I'm looking for something a little more.
what do you want? Like the Stones?
Oh, there you go.
He's Mick Jagger's
They're
like
so old.
Mick
He's
Jagger's like
100.
85.
Aerosmith?
They're retired.
And I don't think your dad would dig Aerosmith, if you know what I mean.
No,
I mean,
oh, this is a good one. Garth Brooks. Garth Brooks would get that.
safe, very
that group
safe.
that hated
Yeah, very
Kendrick
safe.
Lamar
Yeah.
would.
Garth Brooks would be very safe.
And Garth
Bruce,
Brooks-
maybe Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah, text line saying Springsteen.
Bruce already did it.
Well, okay, we'll do it again.
I think Foo Fighters is a good pick.
Yeah, yeah. Foo
Yeah,
would-
not for us olds. They're
That's-
too loud.
That's what I'm saying. Foo, Pearl Jam. I mean, the big American rock groups that are still around and are relevant and sell out arenas around the world. It's Pearl Jam, it's the Foo Fighters, and it's Metallica.
I'm hearing Bad Bunny. That's what I'm hearing.
He's a big deal. Absolutely.
I'm hearing that
Yeah.
from my sources.
Yeah. Bunny's a huge deal.
All right. Well, it's exciting times. Why, you ask? You didn't ask that, but I'll ask it for you. Why? Well, because it's the day after the Super Bowl.
Yes. Even though the game, for a lot of people, didn't hold up, I thought it was fascinating. I love digging into why things happened. And from a football nerd schematic standpoint, I was fascinated by
You know what it was?
what happened.
It was obscene.
It was obscene. It's insane. It was.
So let's talk about it.
Let's get into it.
The beauty is we have a full show today,
Yeah.
and then we'll start our new sports calendar year tomorrow,
Tomorrow.
right?
Today we sports.
Today
tomorrow,
is Danny asked us on his way out. He's like, "Is this the biggest day in sports radio?" I'm like, I think in terms of recurring days
yeah.
in the year, I don't know what rivals it.
It's the follow-up to the largest event in the United States, and it's not even close. So I don't know.
Ooh, Yacht Rock, that'd be good.
What is Birdie Higgins?
Somebody
still
said
in?
Hall & Oates.
Kenny, yeah, I don't know. It's Kenny Loggins. Now you're talking.
There you go.
What were we talking about? Oh, what other days even rivals the Monday after the Super Bowl for sports radio? I mean, I don't even know. Nothing that comes
No.
along.
I mean, maybe the
Thursday or Friday of March Madness.
Yeah, I was gonna say like that was kind of where I was gonna go with that. The beginning of March Madness is certainly a big one.
Like start of college football season feels big, but it's not like the Friday before the 0 week does anything for
yeah,
you.
there's nothing. I mean, just look, 120, 130 million people tune into one thing, and look, the halftime show to the commercials. They're all of those things are honestly bigger than 90% of things that go on in sports. I mean, this isn't even like when
Yeah.
you get a big Rose Bowl game, Michigan, Alabama. Remember that did like 30 million people or whatever it was, and it was like, oh my God, that's a lot. The Super Bowl is 100+ million. And it doesn't matter how bad the game is. One team could not show up and you could go recruit a peewee football team to go out there and it would still do 100 million people.
Well, you better be on your game today then.
I'll see what I can do.
Got a lot of people tuning in for hot takes. Although they've probably been hot taking all day.
Yeah, and one of the things I dislike the most about the Super Bowl is the hot take that are just ignorant that are coming out of this. And we do it every year because then we got to get into the legacy and who gets the flowers, and it's just it's nauseating. So I will try to do my best to provide rational insight and rational takes to some of the really egregiously dumb
Not me.
things that are out there right now.
I'm getting wild. Coming up
Ryan
next.
Clark had the balls to go on and say that when history books are written, it will be hard to determine who was the guy in this quarterback generation. That may be the dumbest thing I've ever heard come out of his mouth, out of anyone's mouth. That really, this is where we're at?
Well, all right. Put a pin in it. We
All
gotta take a break, and then let's come back and bitch about what Ryan Clark said. Okay, let's talk about it. The Super Bowl. It was a big, easy beatdown, and we discuss next on the Fan. That's right. Sachi and Suk. Culturally at the forefront of next to nothing. But hey, it was a great Super Bowl. Wait, it wasn't even that.
It was not.
Damn it.
It was interesting. See, I didn't mind that it was a blowout because I was just interested in what was going on and how it was going down. And I appreciate greatness. And when I think about Super Bowls, I will put what Philadelphia did in that game. I put it there with what the Seahawks did to the Broncos. And that's the one that it probably rings the most true because we've seen other dominant defensive performances, but not to a quarterback of that level.
It's kind of the same game.
Kind of the same game.
As that Broncos Seahawks game.
The only thing that gives me pause about that is that Denver offense was great. I mean, it was great. And I'm not trying to do revisionist history here because I bought into the Chiefs as well. But I've been saying for the last 2 years that I did not think this Chiefs team was very good. I thought they had the best coach, the best defensive coordinator, and maybe the best quarterback of all time. And that covered up a lot. But I just always thought, and I keep picking against Kansas City. I was like, dude, there are too many holes on this roster, and eventually the dam is going to burst. And it isn't. And so you got to that point, and we were going to this game, and I've said time and time again, the 2 weeks leading up to it, Philadelphia is better than they are at every position -1. And I said, it's fascinating that we still all believe, and myself included, that Andy Reid, Spags, and Patrick Mahomes were going to be enough, even though every other position group, there was an advantage, and some of them a significant advantage in Philadelphia. And so then to see that illusion of Kansas City winning in the margins, to see that absolutely just torn asunder before you and laid bare, I was fascinated by it. And I actually went back and watched it from the all-22 standpoint because, again, I just thought it was really interesting to see a Kansas City team that I kept waiting for a defense to tear them apart like that. And then I really started to – it was almost like there's the Mike Tyson myth, right? Like no one can do this. Even though it looks on paper.
Wait. Didn't Tampa do that?
Well, Tampa did it a couple years ago, but that was when this injuries had riddled them. They were playing with 3
I guess that's true.
And by the way, can I also point out in that game, because I've seen people bring that up, if you go back and watch that Super Bowl, and you want this is the hottest take I'll have all day. That Super Bowl where they got their ass kicked by Tampa Bay, that was the best game I've ever seen Patrick Mahomes play. Patrick Mahomes single-handedly kept them in that game for a point and was doing things in that game. I've never seen one guy play against an entire defense and feel like he could still make it competitive. Now, eventually the dam burst and they got blown out and he didn't have a chance. But to see this, and I know there was problems, we can talk about the left side of the line, but that's so Kansas City has tried multiple times to find a left tackle and they couldn't do it. And so they just bumped their all-pro left guard out. And in the playoffs, he had been lights out. And you're like, only the Kansas City Chiefs can take that and just do it. And it's like, oh, it's no big deal. Right? Everything that seemingly should derail the Chiefs never does. And so you just build up this invincibility where you're like, it doesn't matter. They will find a way. They will find a way. They'll be down 10. It doesn't matter. They've been down 10 in every Super Bowl they've played, and it doesn't matter. They just find a way to come back. And yet this one, there was no way to come back. This was a Seattle Seahawks, I'm going to put my foot on your balls and make you believe it.
Whoa.
And that thing was over.
I don't know if you ever, I agree with you. I mean, I don't, games all have different feels.
Yeah.
You could have 3 24-0 games and they could all have a very different feel about what might happen in the second half. That one was like, if you were just paying attention at all, you're like, dude, this game, I don't even need to watch the second half.
Yeah.
They made, that's as good of a performance in a Super Bowl as I think I've ever seen.
Yes.
Not that I remember every team's performance in every Super Bowl I've watched, but dude, the Eagles on both sides of the ball were absolutely awesome. And they made Patrick Mahomes, I think that's the biggest shocker here. Not really even that it was a blowout, because the Chiefs have been blown out in a Super Bowl before. It was, they made Patrick Mahomes look like he had never played quarterback.
And that's
that's unbelievable. I mean, the way they made him, and Brady called it out, like his happy feet back there, and like
that doesn't happen to him.
It just does not happen to him, and that's how good Philly was.
Because go back and again watch the Tampa Super Bowl, because the Tampa Super Bowl, believe it or not, was worse up front for Kansas City than this one was. And yet Mahomes was still playing his ass off. There were 2 or 3 plays where he made these ridiculous diving throws and his receivers dropped them. The one to Tyreek Hill, go back and look. It's the best throw you'll ever see. This, you know about the Superman throw to Kelsey that he had in the title game? It was 10 times that. It was to Tyreek Hill and he dropped it in the end zone. So even when he's under pressure, he still finds a way. This was a Sam Darnold IC ghost game, and he threw 2 horrible picks.
Yeah,
he wasn't scrambling. He was just in a state of panic.
Do you think he knew? Because I feel like if you're watching tape for 2 weeks, getting ready for that,
yeah,
surely he knew he was in. I mean, like, what does a quarterback go into that thinking? Like, oh, I'm the greatest and I can beat anybody? Probably.
Yeah.
But on tape, come on, man. He knows his offensive line. He knows that Eagles defensive line. He had to have been looking at that going, oh, crap.
Well, it's weird because Philly has been good all year. That's the best their defensive line is. Like they turned it up at the right moment. So while I know that's a very, very good Philly defense, I do think Kansas City went in. What was interesting is they didn't even try to run the ball. So I think on film, they looked at it and they're like, screw this. We're not even going to attempt this, right? Our quick passing game is going to be our run game. And I do think that Kansas City got shell-shocked because when I went back and looked at some of their pass protection schemes, Kansas City underestimated what Philly's front was going to be able to do to them. And I thought some of their protection schemes were actually quite sound, and they just got their ass whooped. I did not think that they believed that Tooney, their all-pro left guard, who got moved out to left tackle, which, by the way, I don't think we can appreciate how hard that is. Playing left guard and playing left tackle, those are not similar things. It's borderline asking a small forward in the NBA to then go play center, or maybe vice versa. I mean, it is a huge, huge shift. And while the Eagles' edge rushers are good, those are not all world edge rushers. And so to see Tooney just get his ass handed to him on roller skates time and time again. So what they did was they kept double teaming and trying to bring people to Josh Sweat or to Jalen Carter. That was clearly Kansas City's plan, which, by the way, it's a good plan.
Yeah, you can see why they thought that.
You see why they thought it. And what they didn't realize is that everyone else on the D-line was going to eat too. And
it makes me sad.
I just think at some point they ran a tight end screen, right? A tight end delay screen, and Patrick Mahomes got sacked. Do you know how hard it is to get sacked on a tight end delay screen? The whole point of the tight end is to invite the edge rusher up the field so that you can then turn and throw the ball to him. They got sacked on the play. I mean, it just, that was just an absolute,
no chance.
No, there's just no chance. It was just a meltdown.
So,
and this is the universal truth. We saw it when Tom Brady lost twice to Eli Manning, right? He didn't lose to Eli Manning. He lost twice to the NASCAR front of the New York Giants.
Yep.
In that entire game, the Philadelphia Eagles, did you see, you know how many times they blitzed?
They never blitzed.
Zero.
No, they rushed 4 the whole time.
And when the game mattered through 3 quarters, they had a 47% pressure rate.
Doesn't happen.
That just,
when you don't blitz, that doesn't happen.
You can't win.
It's crazy.
Yeah, you can't win that way.
Okay, so let's take a break, and when we come back, you know, because Andy Reid's getting some flack. I mean, the Chiefs were bad all around. It wasn't just the offensive line.
No.
They had horrible defensive penalties. Andy Reid was bad. Everything was bad.
It's a bad game plan.
They just played.
They
played terrible.
With the exception of, I'll make the case that I thought their defense.
Yeah, they hung in there.
But
they made some big mistakes.
Yeah.
Penalty wise.
And they did really well with Barkley.
Yeah, they did. They definitely did do that. But Kansas City all around had a really bad game.
Yeah.
And Philly, I don't know what you say was bad. Can you say anything?
The only thing I can say
Barkley?
is Barkley, but that was
They keyed on that.
Spags said you will not beat us, and Hurts was like, okay, well we
was great. That's
was
another
awesome.
one. Like I didn't think there would be a blowout in that game because Kansas City, but also because of Jalen Hurts, and that's going to get lost in the shuffle here. Although he did win MVP, he was great, and he was really good. when they warmed him up and they tried to confuse him, he was still good. And that's what we thought would be a decider.
Well, it's because all year he has been, statistically speaking, the worst starting quarterback in the NFL under pressure. And there was one play where at the beginning we were like, ah, crap, there's Jalen Hurts under pressure.
The INT.
And like, that's Jalen Hurts. And the rest of it, he was great. And
All right.
in his two biggest games of his life, he has played the best two games. And you have to give the guy his flowers. That dude shows up in the biggest moments.
So let's come back and we'll talk about what you do when your offensive line is getting beat like that. How do you adjust? Even the great Andy Reid could not. No. If that tells you anything, here's Buck.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Brought to you by Vulcan Design and Construction. Check out their award-winning outdoor living designs or schedule your free design consultation at vulcandc.com. First on the Fan, the Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl 59 champions. They steamrolled the Chiefs 40-22 the final. Jalen Hurts takes home Super Bowl MVP honors after throwing for a pair of touchdowns and rushing for another. Philly are slight favorites to win it again next season at 6-1 odds. The Chiefs, Ravens, and Bills are just behind at 7-1. The Seahawks 65-1 to lift the Lombardi Trophy. The Blazers are back on the hardwood tonight. They're in the Mile High City, taking on Nikola Jokic and the Nuggets for consecutive games. Matisse Thybulle remains out with an ankle sprain. Jeremy Grant, Chris Murray, and Robert Williams are all questionable. The Nuggets are favored by 9.5 when they tip it off at 6 o'clock. Meanwhile, in Los Angeles, Luka Doncic expected to make his Lakers debut this evening against the Jazz. That one tips at 7:30 on ESPN, with the Lakers favored by 12.5. And in Dallas, the Mavericks expect new acquisition Anthony Davis to miss up to a month with an adductor strain from his Dallas debut. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Ryan Buckley at the 1080 The Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Live, local, and free. No subscription required. Portland's sports leader is 1080 The Fan.
Talking about, you guessed it, the Super Bowl. Although, ladies, your man has more sports to view tonight. Well, the NBA's on.
Oh.
So it's not over. Sports season is not over, ladies.
He'll find a way. Although, look,
That's right.
If he's saying he has to watch the NBA, he just doesn't want to talk to you.
Luka, that's
Luka
right.
Debuka.
Boy, I'll tell you what. If not to take a quick detour, but for Maverick fans, oh my God.
Oh, yeah. Anthony Davis already hurt.
Well, he may be done for the year.
Yeah, he's out for a month.
He's out for a month, and they're
his
saying
debut cut short.
There's people saying
No
that
way.
this is going to require a surgery more than likely, and then he's done for the year. Oh my! Like,
Is that why they call him street clothes?
Yes.
Yep.
Well, he
Is that why?
shows up right, and he has
It
like
makes me
this
sad.
monster first half, and he's like, "I want to be here," and everyone's like, "Okay, well, maybe we need to calm." And done.
Their
You gotta-
ticket sales reps are offering full refunds for season
Are
ticket
they?
holders
Dude,
if they don't want to come the rest of the way.
They got 2 quarters out of him, and he may be done for
Well,
the
hey,
year.
you got a good little glimpse, though. Like, oh, hey.
Yeah, he could be great there.
You know, Mavs fans
If
are
he
like, oh, my
plays.
God, look at this.
I feel for him.
Okay, so, look, the Eagles won 40-22.
And it really was 40-6.
It was not that close.
no, it was
I mean,
not.
they just absolute beat down.
Yeah,
so,
the numbers are going to be skewed when it's all done.
yeah,
Like Mahomes,
I was just looking at the numbers. It's weird to look at the stat sheet. I hadn't seen the stat sheet. I mean, you don't even need to
No, you don't.
see the stat sheet, but I was just looking at it. You know how many rushes the Eagles had in that game? You care to guess on
how
that?
many rushes? Well, I
Yeah.
know Barkley had like 20-something carries for 57 yards.
I mean, it's like if you didn't watch the game and you only looked at the stat sheet, you would think it played out maybe a little differently. But
Well, Saquon Barkley was an absolute non-factor. Other than, dude, I thought he was great in blitz pickup. I know that's a little minutia thing people don't care
Doesn't
about.
show with the box score, but it matters a lot.
Dude was a
Yeah.
beast.
they
in
they
blitz
rushed 45 times.
45 times.
Yeah. So you may look at the stat sheet and go, oh, they just, they crammed it down their
No.
throat and they just stuck
No,
with
no.
Dude, it was all about the defense.
Yeah.
And then the offense played great when it had to.
If you told Spags, I'm pulling up right now. So Barkley went 25 carries, 57 yards, no touchdowns. Longest run was 10 yards. If you went and told Spags
Yeah.
at the beginning of that, hey, you are going to basically neutralize him. By the way, I think you even live if you're Kansas City with the go ball stuff. Like the big play to AJ Brown and the big one to Smith. You live with those because your whole game plan was force Jalen Hurts to throw the ball. And he did. And you can live with that. I still think under normal circumstances, if you were Kansas City, you said, hey, they're going to hit a couple big go balls on us, but we're going to take away Barkley. I think you still live with that. And I think the defense, for the most part, in the first half, played well enough to have Kansas City be in a Kansas City game. It's just that they got their second first down, I'm talking about the Chiefs, with like 3 minutes to go in the third quarter.
If I told you Barkley would have 12 carries for 31 yards at half,
yeah,
what would the score
The Eagles are cooked. I'd say
It's a one-score game.
I'd
Yeah.
say Kansas City probably 17, Philadelphia 10.
And that's why you can't look at the stats. I mean,
No.
it was one of those games like somebody says on the Vancouver Ford text line. Do you guys always feel like when it's a blowout that hindsight is 20/20? Like of course, we should have seen this coming. Yeah, a little bit. Sometimes when you talk about these games, and you're seeing this a lot on social media too, but we draw these big giant conclusions.
Yeah.
And the reality is we shouldn't do any of that.
No.
This was I'm not going to call it a one-off because the Eagles have the better roster and we knew that.
Yes.
But just the way that all played out,
Mm.
let's not get carried away with all these
Yeah.
conclusions. Look, Philly absolutely flattened them,
Mm.
and they should be given all the credit in the world for that. If they played again in the same
not
scenario,
like that.
I don't know that it's like that. It's just
Yeah.
it was just one of those games, and you got to give Philly all the credit, and that's really it. So he's right about hindsight, where you always want to just be like, oh, well, why didn't we see this and why didn't we see that? Well, no one saw that coming.
No.
I mean,
and let me defend the Kansas City defense here for a bit, right? We'll go through, right? So
well,
Philadelphia.
can we pause though?
Yeah, we can
I
pause.
hate to do that to you,
Yeah,
but,
but we're in the- yeah.
I want to hear what you have to say. But we have to try to stay somewhat on time.
Yeah, because we can get out of. I mean,
We
there's
can
so
get
much.
wild,
we
yeah.
can get
So
wild.
I do love the day after the Super Bowl. It's always fun. There's always a lot to discuss, and I have a million notes. I do also want to get to the thing that I teased last segment too, and that is how, because somebody on the text line texted about Duck fan still sitting there thinking about, how do you adjust when your offensive line is getting absolutely mauled?
Hardest thing to do.
Boy,
in
those two
sports.
game scripts very similar.
It is, yeah. It's like, and I didn't even think about that, but he brought that up, and I was like, oh, that's true. Oregon fan is sitting there going, well, Dan Lanning this or that.
It's the
Two
ultimate.
great coaches in Dan Lanning and Andy Reid What do you do? So I do want to ask you that question too. So we've got those things coming up next on The Fan.
A champion is crowned.
Ohio State has won the national championship. And a drenched Ryan Day and the jubilant Buckeyes are celebrating all over this field.
But there's room for him.
It's over. The Philadelphia Eagles have won Super Bowl 59. They have beaten the Kansas City Chiefs 40-22.
What?
It's their second Super Bowl win in 7 years. What a game. What a season. What a team. the greatest Eagles team in modern history. Eagles fans, savor it and rejoice.
Prime Time with Isaac and Suk on 1080 The Fan.
Pretty good little call there.
Yeah.
The local guy there. I don't know his name, but
From WIP.
Okay. Yes. I jotted down you were going to defend Kansas City's defense. I jotted that down. I want to get to that.
Okay.
But first, what do you do when your offensive line is getting smoked like that?
Yeah.
And you've got the best quarterback in the league running for his life. What should Andy Reid have done? What did he not do or try that he could have?
Hindsight being 2020, and the fact that the game was still in doubt. I mean, it didn't get blown out until the end of the half, right? Even when it was 17-0 and the Chiefs had the ball, you're like, hey, if they go down and get a score here, they get the ball at the half, Kansas City's not going to panic here. I think where it got away from them was they never attempted to run the ball, and they knew going in their run game was trash, and it hasn't been very good. But I'm a little shocked that they never made an attempt to run the ball at all. So when you do have a team that is just pinning the ears back and coming, full speed up ahead, you would think that you would like to try to slow that down a little bit with the run game. I think if you were to go back and ask Andy Reid at the beginning, I think he would have tried to work in some more play action stuff. I mean, they just went out of the gun the entire time and basically told Philadelphia, we're not going to run the ball. And to be one-dimensional against that team, that's a bit of a death sentence. I think the other thing that they could have done was, I was surprised that eventually they didn't move Tooney back inside and play one of the tackles, because then at least you only would have had one bad position, because what you had was the backup left guard who was just getting annihilated, and then you had your left tackle who was your left guard, who was a really, really good left guard. He might have, believe it or not, he might have played a worse game than the Caliendo or whatever, the guy that's left guard.
Caliendo, yeah.
Tooney might have actually played a worse game. So sometimes when you reshuffle your O-line, instead of having one bad problem, you end up with two bad problems. And so what they were trying to do was they were trying to help out the right side and just leave the left side alone, and it ended up causing three separate problems. So I think what happened was Kansas City tried to fill, like when the dam starts leaking, you were trying to fill the holes with your thumbs and you were filling the wrong holes. So they kept trying to protect the right side of the line, and it wasn't working because just everyone was getting beat. I mean, the only two players that had a good game was the center and the left guard. And the other thing that I think you could have seen Kansas City do, and I think they waited too long, was they had to take some shots downfield. And you saw once the game was out of hand, some of that stuff over the top was there with Xavier Worthy taking some of those shots downfield. But Kansas City has basically thrived all year on the underneath stuff. Problem is that when you only rush 4 and you play that they played, I don't get super technical, but the Eagles basically played one coverage the entire game. They played quarters. So each guy takes a fourth of the field, and then you play really tight zone underneath. And there was nowhere to go with the ball. And so Kansas City is not a deep play offense at all. They have lived on the underneath stuff. Think Tom Brady during his runs. But you would see Mahomes go back and he would go to throw the ball quickly, and you sound like he wouldn't get rid of the ball because there was nowhere to go. You had to get Philadelphia to move out of that coverage and get them to extend their defense. And once it was over, you saw them throw the ball downfield a little bit. I think they should have tried that a little bit earlier on to try to soften it up. The problem with that is
you gotta wait. It takes time.
It takes time. You
gotta let it develop.
And when you're getting your entire left side of your line that is just getting shoved into your lap, and I think that's what you saw again. Edge pressure is one thing, right? You can live with edge pressure because you can step up in the pocket. But when your left tackle is literally getting shoved into your lap, and then the left guard is just getting beat, there is nowhere else to go. And so I thought Philly did a great job. Again, fun little scheme that I think Fangio did, even though there was no blitzes. They would send the right side of their line, whether that was Sweat, who played out there on the right side a lot, and then Jordan Davis or Carter. It was a lot of times it was Jalen Carter. They would have them rush a wide pass rush on the right side, basically telling Mahomes, you cannot get outside of the pocket going to the right side, right? We are going to rush a wide 9 technique and a wide 3. we are basically going to create an umbrella out there. And so where's the only place that Mahomes can bail after that? Well, he has to bail to the left side or step up in the pocket. Problem, the left side of the line of scrimmage was a French battlefield line that was just getting blown apart. And I thought that little scheme adjustment was so sneaky good on the part of Philadelphia. And even when Kansas City tried to give help, there were times where they would send a tight end or a back to help on one of the edges. They still got beat. It just was a piss poor execution on the part of Kansas City outside of the right guard and the center. And when that happens, I can sit up here and say, well, you should have tried this, you should have tried that. At the end of the day, if you were getting beat on your one-on-one matchups like that, unless you were to go back at the beginning of the game and just try something completely different, they were not prepared for what was coming from the Philadelphia defense.
Yeah, Fangio is a master.
Yeah.
And he proved that. And he's like Spagnuolo.
Yeah.
Spagnuolo's gotten a lot of love for their Super Bowl titles. Vic Fangio, I thought, should have been the damn MVP.
Well, and like Spagnuolo, he tried his hand at head coaching, didn't work for him, went back to DCing, and he's a legend.
But at the same time, he's got thoroughbreds everywhere.
Yes.
I mean that deep. So his game plan, genius. It's like, okay, well, we think we can rush with just our front four, and then Kansas City doesn't go downfield. You're not going to have time if we rush if we get there like we think we will. So therefore, we'll just we'll I guess the 2 picks are a great example of that, where the guy's just sitting right there waiting on the short passing game, and make Kansas City adjust to that, and they couldn't. You said one quick follow up. You said run the ball, and I think a lot of people were screaming at their TV. If you were rooting for the Chiefs, like, dude, you gotta run the ball. Like, you have to. Like, you can't. There's nothing else you can do really.
Nope.
Because Mahomes is going to die. He has nowhere to go. He doesn't have time. You have to open this up with the run.
Yeah.
11 carries, 49 yards for the Chiefs.
And most of those were Mahomes scrambles.
Yeah, and so they averaged 4.5 yards per carry, which isn't, I mean, that's not awful, but 11 carries, 49 yards. I want it because I'm only just now today, having come in and read the text line and talked to you and done the show and everything, seeing the correlation between that game and the Oregon Ohio State game in the Rose Bowl. I didn't think of that until I got in here, which is what some of the fun of doing this. And I look back because, first of all, the final score 40-22.
It's not indicative of what the game was.
Well, okay, but 40-22, Eagles over Chiefs. Ohio State over Oregon, 41-21.
Again, not indicative of how bad that ass kick was.
Exactly. It's kind of the same game.
The script was almost identical too. Huge shutout early. You poured on a little bit late.
So the Chiefs ended up running the ball 11 times for 49 yards. Like you said, when you're getting pounded like that on the offensive line, the defensive front is just overwhelming you. You have to run the ball, right?
Have to.
Dan Lanning. So I went and just checked while you were talking there how many times Dan Lanning ran the ball. So Andy Reid ran it 11 times. How many times did Dan Lanning run the ball in that game? Do you remember?
I'm guessing not a bunch.
No, I mean, Jordan James did almost nothing. I would say less than 20.
So 28.
28.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean,
but
they
don't
tried.
those
But
Gabriel
you know how many
sacks
yards?
count? I think those Gabriel sacks count as so really 20. But
they got 8 sacks.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they got 5 on Mahomes.
Those
didn't
don't count in the NFL.
in the
NFL
NFL they don't. Oh, okay, gotcha. So yeah, maybe it's a little misleading. Yeah. But you know how many yards they had, Oregon? Minus 23.
Yeah.
There's the sacks.
There's
but
the sacks.
28 carries, minus 23 yards for Oregon. 11 carries, 49 yards for the Chiefs.
And I get it. Once you get to a certain point, when you're down, same Oregon, you get down 20. It's hard to stay balanced. But this is why.
But you got to try. You have to.
You have to. This, especially early on. I guarantee Andy Reid goes back today and goes, my game plan was crap. When you tell yourself, this is why people are like, oh, why does it matter playing under center? And you hear all the time, right? Marrying the run game to your pass game. Like when you become one-dimensional and you have to live in the shotgun and just say, this is what we're going to do, and you're telling the defense, this is what you're going to do, you are setting yourself up to fall into a really bad trap and a really bad pattern when you're physically getting beat. And that was Kansas City. And that was the weird part, is that I'm telling you, this belief that this was out of hand early on, that is not true. The Kansas City defense was playing well enough. It really wasn't until the turnovers Like,
Well,
even
yeah,
when
one of them was a pick six.
one of them was a pick six.
And what was there was another one where he turned it over on the
Yeah,
The 30 or
5-yard
something?
line.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
so it's just like
So there's two of them right there.
Kansas City's defense was doing enough in that first half to keep them in the game. It's just that the offense put them in such horrendous. By the way, Philadelphia starting field position all game, 43-yard line. And then the turnovers, it just was a killer. You can't have one first down and 23 yards in the half. So I actually feel bad for the Kansas City defense that's getting ripped apart. And I don't think the Kansas City defense should be shouldering the blame. I actually think the Kansas City defense played well enough for them to win or be in this game if the offense held up their end of the bargain. And certainly they did not.
Well, you saw the time of possession indicating that too. Like they could not get their defense off the field.
No. Well, think about
Well,
it.
and they kept. Well, they had at least 3 penalties I can remember
Well,
where they gave them first downs on third down.
This is what I'm saying. The first touchdown was because of the worst.
Terrible penalty.
I mean, it's just awful.
But so was the A.J. Brown
So it was the A.J. Brown one, so maybe that was a gimme, right? But they got their touchdown off of that, which shouldn't have been.
because it was third down.
Yes.
So they stopped him.
They stopped
were
him.
going to hold him to a field goal.
Yes.
Or maybe even a punt. I don't remember where exactly.
I forget if it would have been that. But they would have held him to at least an attempt at a field goal, if not a punt. And then they got the interception on Hurts because they heated him up and he went full Jalen Hurts. And then they held and they stiffened to a field goal. And then came the pick six, and all of a sudden it's 17-0. And even after that, they still forced Philadelphia then to punt. And so it was like they were hanging in there right until, again, the next pick. And then
that was the killer.
And they got it to him on whatever the 6-yard line or whatever the hell it was.
And they shoved it in.
And then they shoved it in, and then it's 24-0, and the game was over. But that first half was not a bad half of football for the Kansas City defense. It was the worst half of football you could possibly play on offense. In fact, it might be the worst performance for a Mahomes-like character in the first half of a Super Bowl ever.
It's got to be. They had 3 carries for 3 yards in the first half.
Yeah.
Mahomes had 2 interceptions, one of them a pick 6, and 33 passing yards. I mean,
it's unbelievable.
You think you can go back and find a worse half?
And I feel like they probably had the ball for 5 or 6 minutes because they just couldn't stay on the field offensively.
Yeah, they said that they have only punted. I saw somebody on social media pointed out that I think there was only 3 other times that they had punted on their first 3 drives of a game since 2018.
Yeah.
They just never, never happens to them.
No. And Kansas City will be fine. I mean, I think, again, we're now into the Phillies a dynasty and Kansas City's done. There's a blueprint, whatever. Kansas City is going to have to go back because I'm telling you, the last 2 years, there has been signs of this. There has been the makings of a collapse like this. They just always find a way to get out of it. And I don't even know if this collapse is indicative. Like you said, if they played 10 times, you can't tell me that they all go like this. This may have just been one played the best game they've played all year and one played the worst game. But I do think that Kansas City is going to have to go back and take a long, hard look. And they've been very good at retooling and changing over their roster, but there will have to be significant changes that are made this offseason if Kansas City wants to get back. And we're also seeing why teams don't win 3 Super Bowls in a row. It's really freaking hard because eventually the cracks in the armor really bust wide open, or you just happen to play a stinker, or you run into a damn buzzsaw.
I was going to say, yeah, just the latter there. It's like you just run into a team that freaking played that was the best game the Eagles will ever play.
If you play the best roster in the NFL, and I know this is going to sound crappy, but it's true, and I don't care if people can yell and scream me all they want. The biggest weakness on the Philadelphia team is their quarterback. But what did we say? When their quarterback plays well, it's the best team in football, and it's not really close. And in the last 2 games, the biggest games of his life, he has played lights out. And when that happens, maybe you just have to shrug your shoulders and go, my God, that's the best team in football when he plays like that. Because Hurts was great.
He was great. He was perfect. He's perfect for their system, too.
Yes.
He's not, obviously
he can't
Patrick
carry you,
Mahomes, but he's really good for what they've built.
Yes.
And yes, 95 points in the last 2 games. In the last 2 games.
Yeah. and only 1 or 2 Jalen Hurts moments.
Pretty nasty.
You
All
know,
right.
and
well,
by the Jalen Hurts moments, I mean
I
the
know what you mean.
under pressure, and he tried a couple times. Every time he backs up like 15 yards on those scrambles, you're like, oh my God, here it comes. But it didn't kill him.
All right. More about the Big Easy beatdown next, and then we have Stack Watch, what we're buying and selling from the weekend in sports on the Fan.
The Fan.
All right, nice to have you along. Hour 2, talking Super Bowl. Got our stock watch next, then in the news. On the Jalen Hurts front, and I hesitate on this one because he's really good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I don't want to make it sound like he's in the category with the Trent Dilfers or Brad Johnsons. Okay, that's not.
No, be somewhere in the middle.
Well, okay.
At least
interesting you say it that way because I went and looked. So I was thinking this, and Jalen Hurts played way better against against Spagnuolo's defense than I thought he would.
Yes,
he's done that twice now,
mm-hmm.
and in both Super Bowls he's played great.
Yep.
And you got to give him all the credit in the world. But I went back and I thought, okay, so Nick Foles won a Super Bowl.
Yes.
Obviously the worst quarterback to win a Super Bowl since Brad Johnson and Trent Dilfer.
Yes.
Okay. So then I went back through all of the Super Bowl champion quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And they're all elite, dude.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as you know, it's not a stunning turn of events there. So because of that, because usually who wins the Super Bowl, usually they have a Roethlisberger, a Manning, a Brady, a Mahomes, because of that, you got to go all the way back to 1990, which was Hostetler, to find a, quote, worse, and I hate using that term, but a worse quarterback than the guys I just mentioned to win the Super Bowl. My point here is that if you take Hostetler in 90, certainly Dilfer in 2000, and Brad Johnson in 2002, and then you add Nick Foles, those four guys right there.
Sure.
If you go all the way from 1990 to last night, the Eagles have just won the Super Bowl twice with two of the bottom 5 quarterbacks of the last 35 years.
It's impressive.
If you put it that way, because Hurts, as good as he is, he's not Roethlisberger, Breeze, Rodgers. You go through all the quarterbacks, he's not as good as any of them.
To me, and they're not the same player. Okay, they're very different players. But if you want to put him in a box and say, he's a Super Bowl MVP, he's a Super Bowl champion, and he easily could be a 2-time Super Bowl champion because he was the best player on the field 3 years ago. Or I guess that would have been 2 Super Bowls ago when they played. He's Eli Manning or he's Joe Flacco. Eli Manning's going to be a Hall of Famer. You can debate it, but Eli Manning's a Hall of Famer. Joe Flacco probably isn't, but Joe Flacco at one point was the highest paid quarterback in the league and was a Super Bowl champion. And by the way, look at Joe Flacco's playoff numbers. They were hammer numbers. He was really good. And the truth of the matter is, despite what some Ryan Clark is going to tell you, if you were starting a team, there's not a GM in the league that would take Jalen Hurts with the 6 or he would be no higher than probably 8th. Okay. That doesn't mean that he's not a really good quarterback. It doesn't mean that he doesn't come up in his biggest moments, but this is more Troy Aikman, Eli Manning, Joe Flacco. And there's nothing wrong with that because 2 of the 3 of those guys are one's a 3-time Super Bowl champ, one's a 2-time Super Bowl champ. But Troy Aikman won more Super Bowls than Steve Young. Steve Young was such a better quarterback than Troy Aikman. So that's where Jalen Hurts goes in, and I don't know why that is such an awful thing to say. The truth of the matter is, they averaged 188 yards through the air this year in the regular season. This is the worst passing offense to win a Super Bowl in modern history. And they won it because it's an elite defense, it's an elite run game, they're elite at every position, and they're good. Not great, they're good at quarterback. And in the biggest moment, their good quarterback played exceptionally well.
He's just really good for what they have.
Yes.
He's a good fit for them.
Yes.
And I think he looks a lot better with them than he would in other places.
Oh, God, yes.
Let's put it that way.
Yes.
But I was thinking about it in terms of the Eagles. 2 of the bottom 5 quarterbacks of the last 35 years, and again, that's debatable, winning championships. We just don't think of teams built like this as dynasties, right? We don't think of that because they don't have the elite coach-quarterback combo.
No.
But that leads me back to Howie Roseman.
Yes.
And dude,
Who's the real MVP?
This MFer has built 2, so they just keep reinventing and churning their roster.
Yep.
He's a Hall of Famer, right?
Yes.
Like he's got to be.
He's got to be.
Because you go all the way back to
This is actually their third. This
Yeah,
is
the
their
third iteration.
time in the Super Bowl
Yes.
in 8 years, and it is the 3rd different roster that has been in the Super Bowl, and they've won 2 of
without
them.
an elite quarterback or an elite coach.
It's
although the first time they had Andy Reid, right?
No. The
Oh, no,
first
they
time
didn't.
they did not have
First
Andy
time,
Reid.
who
It was Doug Peterson.
Was it Peterson twice?
Doug Peterson.
He went to 2 Super Bowls? Because he won it with Foles. Like the Fletcher Cox crew and that crew.
Yeah. So they won with Doug Peterson. They lost with Sirianni twice. So
that's right. Yes.
The first
Okay.
one was Doug Peterson that won.
Well, I'm
and then
thinking of
Sirianni lost, and then if you want to go all the way back, that's Andy Reid.
See, I'm going back to like
That's way back.
Fletcher Cox,
No. Yeah.
Jason Kell. Those.
Yeah.
Just hold on. Just so when they had that championship run with those studs that they had then, they replaced every single one of those guys with another stud.
Yep.
Enter, like in this iteration, you've got Jalen Carter and
DeJean and Mitchell and Bond and.
Well, yeah, but like for Kelsey, it's Juergens and, like every single stud that they had, they replaced with another stud almost immediately.
Yeah.
Which is, I don't know why. Is that being taken for granted here? Because they've done this.
Yes, I think so.
They've done this 3
Their
times.
roster construction does not get enough credit.
Oh, my God.
You hear about tush push and
Yes.
like the way they've drafted, which is good, but the overall roster construction is the
just
MVP here.
And they keep losing coordinators. So they just had. So I think Kellen Moore was in his first year there, right?
Yes, he was.
And so was Vic Fangio.
So they lost 2 years ago when they went to the Super Bowl. They lost both coordinators to head coaching jobs.
Steichen to Indy.
And then
Gannon
last
to
year they brought in
Arizona.
2 coordinators and it was a disaster. And they fired them and they brought in 2 new coordinators.
Sirianni.
And here they are.
And Sirianni should be given credit for that.
Yes.
Because he saw the problems. And I even read quotes from him today saying he that was a turning point for them. They
fixed it.
They figured it out from that. But just this offseason, they signed 2 new coordinators. They signed Becton. They signed Saquon.
Yep.
They signed. He completely reinvented the secondary in the draft, in one freaking draft.
Yep.
Howie Roseman is a freaking genius, and he's done this 3 times. And I don't think enough credit is being given to how the Eagles continue to win and how quickly they continue to win without an elite coach quarterback combo.
Yeah.
With Peterson, Foles, and now Sirianni. Hurts.
No.
The guy is. Can a GM win a Super Bowl?
He should.
The answer is yes.
It
Howie
is.
Roseman's done it twice.
And also give credit to their owner. They spend money better than anyone else. They will. If you look at a couple years from now, Jalen Hurts has like a $98 million cap hit. Like they restructure and they spend cash as well as any team in the NFL. And by the way, everyone can do it. Not every owner is willing to do it, but they will.
Yeah, Laurie is great.
And identifying AJ Brown in a trade, right? And going out and finding. How about the fact that they spent a bunch of money on Bryce Huff, who was their big edge rusher? He doesn't play, and it didn't matter. When's the last time you swung big on a free agent edge rusher and had it absolutely be a bust, and it didn't matter, and your defensive line was still one of the highlights? If you look through the last couple years of the draft, Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, and Jalix Hunt, who was the guy that was kicking the ass of the left tackle for Kansas City. That was your first 3 draft picks in this year's draft.
Right there.
Go to last year. Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, Akili Ringo, all in the draft previous to that. You want to go back before that? Jordan Davis, who actually turned into a really nice player from them after he lost some weight. Cam Juergens was brought in to Kobe Dean, who was really good till he got hurt. You want to go back the year before that? Devontae Smith, who everyone said was too small. Landon Dickerson, who they spent money on, is now an all-pro guard.
There you go.
can just go through. Oh, and by the way, the year before that,
It's like
Jalen
every
Hurts
time.
was in the second round.
It's every time.
Every
and
time.
it's consistent. And you've got to be, if you're like a Cowboys fan, or if you're a fan of a team that just can't seem to get it right, this has to drive you insane.
Yes.
Because all this guy does
His
is
fine players.
reinvent
Yeah.
his roster every year. And that's where I lead to, and maybe we can talk about this down the road, but are they, I mean, they're not really a dynasty obviously they're not. I mean, you have to have more championships to be a dynasty in a shorter period of time, but we don't think of teams like this as a dynasty. And boy, that's what makes it even more amazing.
They are, without question, this is their 3rd Super Bowl, 2nd win in 8 years with 3 entirely different rosters. Without question, this right now, the Philadelphia Eagles are a top 3 franchise in the NFL.
Yeah.
Without question.
Yeah.
Top to bottom. Ownership, GM, structure of the whole thing.
It's crazy.
They are the envy of almost everyone in the league if you're going top to bottom. And
Gotta hand it to him.
It's really quite. And remember that Chip Kelly tried to force Howie Roseman out.
I mean, remember that there was a battle between Chip Kelly and Howie Roseman, and we were like, "Oh my God, Roseman won!" Yeah, probably a pretty good move, Loria.
Yep.
to pick that gay.
No, and as someone else points out, Zach Bond was a special teams guy that came over from the Saints who thought he was going to be an edge rusher when he came over. And they were like, nah, you're going to play middle linebacker. And by the way, you're going to be one of the finalists for Defensive Player of the Year and intercept.
Well,
Make one of the
Mahomes
biggest plays of the Super
in
Bowl.
Super Bowl.
Just
So,
imagine if they had Andy Reid still and Patrick Mahomes with their roster.
Yeah.
Like it's insane.
Yeah. If they had a player like that, like if you, as good as Hurts is, and again, give Hurts all his flowers, and he's such a good guy, and it's a great story. But if you had Lamar Jackson on this team, because they make the same amount of money, I mean, then you're really talking about an all-time team that would be just like that you created on Madden, and the computer wouldn't let you do it because it would be unfair.
Man. All right, coming up next is our Primetime Stock Watch, what we're buying and selling from the weekend in sports on the Fan.
The home of it fast?
Sounds to me like you guys are a couple of bookies.
Is the hype accurate or a bunch of hot gas? Before you buy or sell, listen close.
It's easy to grin when your ship comes in and you've got the stock market beat. But the man worthwhile is the man who can smile when his shorts are too tight in the seat.
Primetime Stock Watch is brought to you by 1-800-DIVORCE. When you need to take stock of your rights, 1-800-DIVORCE is on your side. Call 1-800-DIVORCE today.
All right, in the news is coming up next. I have some viral video news. Alaska Airlines flight attendants punching bros.
Yeah, I saw that. Going with the old throat punch.
Ooh, I like a good
Bold
throat
strategy.
But first, that's next. First, here's Buck.
Yeah, all throat punches and Luca's debut in today's Stock Watch. No Luca debut. It's it is that tonight at 7:30. But this is a Super Bowl edition of Stock Watch. Start off with one Patrick Mahomes talking about the Eagles' defense.
Yeah, I think just when defenses are going to play the shell coverage and stay back and play man on third down, I can't make bad plays worse. And I think that's something that you saw today is that there was times when guys aren't open and I need to throw the ball away or check it down and let other guys make plays happen. Sometimes I get in where I want to make a big play to kind of spark us, and that's something that I've dealt with my entire career. And if I don't show that I will take what's there in the game, the defenses are going to stay in the coverages that they're in. And I think they only blitzed like one time this entire game today. So they were going to make me be a fundamental quarterback from the pocket and take what's there, and that stuff I have to get better at. No, not really. I mean, it's just the pressure of the Super Bowl. There's always pressure, and you have to find ways to deal with that and find ways to respond to that. And we've had good games, and we've had games like this now, and we'll have to find ways to respond to this adversity. And like I said, hopefully it'll motivate these guys, especially myself, to be even better. And it's a short off season. We have a lot of guys come back. We'll have some guys that won't, but it's a short off season, and we have to get better, and so that hopefully we get this opportunity again that we can go out there and capitalize on it.
Buy or sell that what Vic Fangio and the Eagles defense did to Patrick Mahomes should go down as one of the greatest defensive performances of Super Bowl history.
Yes, it'll go down to me as one of them, but it's not going to be in my top 2 or 3 because this Kansas City offense isn't that good. When you look at the numbers, they're not a great rushing team.
The idea of Kansas City may be a little bit better than what they really are.
But this was not like that. What the Seahawks did to that Broncos offense and Peyton Manning, that was a record-setting offense. What the Patriots did to that Jared Goff and Sean McVay offense, and I know Gurley was a little bit nicked up in there with the knee, but that was a really, really good Rams offense, like an elite Rams offense that did nothing. So we've seen truly elite offenses get skunked like this. This wasn't an elite offense. It just was Pat Mahomes. And we're just not used to seeing this. So one of the best, absolutely. Pure domination. Kansas City never had a chance to get going, and they forced Mahomes to look like a rookie bum. And that is shocking. But the best performance? No. One of the best? Sure.
You said top 3 performance in Super Bowl history?
I just said will what Fangio and company did to Mahomes go down as one of the greatest defensive performances in Super Bowl history.
Yeah, I mean, no.
Good, not great?
Yeah, good. I would say this. I get where you're going with that. I don't know that it is, also because I can't really come up with, it's like you got to go all these other examples of, this defensive scheme against that quarterback in 1995. I don't know. What I would say is, and Fangio's a big part of this, but I think collectively, that is as good as I've ever seen a team play in a Super Bowl. And for them to do that against the Chiefs, who don't get blown out, they do not get blown out. The last time they got blown out, of course, the Bucs got them. Yeah. But other than that, they didn't even get blown out in the regular season. No. Ever.
No, I saw them flash a graphic when they were down, 34-0, that was the biggest deficit Mahomes has ever faced in his entire career. Regular season, playoff, whatever.
Not only that, but just the way they made Mahomes look, and we've seen Mahomes lose. The Bucs torched Mahomes, but the way they made it, he was dancing around back there, and you heard his clip there, entirely too long, but you heard the clip where he was talking about having to get better and things. They exposed him on a level that we have not seen, really, ever.
And it's going to cause ripples. Kansas City will make massive adjustments.
I don't know about your stock. I don't know about the stock, but I just think that's as good as I've ever seen a team play in a Super Bowl, and Philly should be given all the credit in the world.
You know what's kind of fun, too? Little side note. when you go back and look at Kansas City at the beginning of this run with Tyreek Hill and Valdez-Scantling and Hardman, all those guys, it was this big, deep, downfield, aggressive approach. You know who got Kansas City to go away from that and really formed a blueprint for the rest of the NFL to this new cover two? We always hear these buzzwords, but the cover two shell look. You know who started all that? Vic Fangio. And it's kind of fun that the guy who started an entire trend in the NFL is the guy that maybe put a fork in this version of the Kansas City offense, because I'm willing to guess that when they come back next year, this Kansas City offense is going to be more aggressive and is going to change the way they operate. So just kind of a fun thing that he was kind of at the beginning and maybe the end of this, and give Fangio a lot of credit.
Real quick, a couple people bringing up, the Seahawks defense against that Denver
That's
offense
the one
of
that
Peyton
I'm
Manning.
thinking about.
Same game. They kicked the crap out of him. Obviously, the Patriots, the first Super Bowl,
Held them to 14 points.
when they beat the Rams.
Oh,
the best
no.
show on turf.
Yeah, that was a great one. I was thinking when the Giants stopped that the Randy Moss
Yeah, there's
offense,
that.
they held them to 14 points in that game.
Yeah, and then Tampa beating Mahomes the first time.
The Niners also held John Elway and the Broncos to 10 points in a
There you
55-10 blowout.
Yeah, what those all have in common is the defensive lines,
Yep.
the defensive fronts were just
It's the great equalizer.
absolutely dominant.
Well, here's a shorter clip for you, Isaac. This is
Thanks.
Jalen Hurts.
It definitely took a team effort, took a group effort, and only thing I can think about is all the effort, all the work that was put in over the course of time. And I think we had a focused group out there. Offense was able to score points, to take advantage of opportunities, just enough to put points on the board, and then defense played their ass off. They played how they played all year. And I truly believe offense wins games, but defense wins championships. And how that defense has been able to play, it's a great testament to them.
The MVP himself saying that the defense wins championships. Should the MVP have gone to someone on the defensive side of the ball?
Yes. I wish we could, much like the Heisman Trophy, I wish we had a way to acknowledge, and I don't know, I guess I would have given it to Josh Sweat, who 6 pressures, 2.5 sacks. It should have just been the defensive line. You should have just been able to say, the MVP of this game is the Philadelphia
front
Eagle
four.
defensive line, and you all go to Disneyland and you wrap arms and you sing Kumbaya. Because while Hurts was very, very good, make no mistake, the Philly defense was the reason why this game was what it was. So Hurts will go down, and he deserved it. It was a great game, but no, someone on the Philly defense, or just give it to Fangio and let him have the damn
I was
thing.
wondering about that. I'm
Hey.
like, you can't give it to a coach, but should you be able to after something like that?
I do think that. I thought that the whole game. I was sitting there going, God, Vic Fangio should be the MVP.
I was thinking the same thing.
Dude, that's something that, I don't know. I mean, I know some people may be scoffing at that, but dude, that should be legit, because coordinators and, Spagnuolo would have won a few.
Yes.
Based on that, but I'd say Sweat should have won it.
Yeah.
When you have 2.5 sacks,
2.5 sacks, 6 pressures, and lived in the backfield the entire game.
and like you said, that was the story of the game. So I think you got to go that route. Side note, Hurts won it. Plus 375, I think, was his number.
That sounds right.
And did you see that he thanked
You thank God, huh?
God?
Did he? Yeah.
But God's undefeated in the Super
There was a radical
lot.
odds shift after we had discussed that. It got all the way down to minus 250. And you also mentioned the big time line movement on the Gatorade color at the end of the week.
Yellow.
It sure enough was yellow. Remember that?
Yep, that leaked.
Yep. So somebody knew. And finally, let's get over to Saquon Barkley after the game, talking about holding the Lombardi Trophy.
Man, oh man, she looked prettier in person. I tell you that. You think about it, it's better in person than it is in Madden. I tell you that. Playing as a kid, but it's everything you dream of, and I'm just happy to be able to hold it, give it a kiss, and be world champs.
Buy or sell that outside of Chiefs fans, New York Giants fans have to be the sickest in America this morning.
Nah, I mean, this is one of those. I get why, but again, I've stated it a million times. If Saquon Barkley had been re-signed with the Giants, it wouldn't have made a damn bit of difference. They would have won 1 or 2 extra games. He would have ran for 1,200 yards. He would have gotten hurt because he didn't play behind an O-line. Their quarterback stinks. The best thing that ever happened to that whole situation is to just move on. And Saquon Barkley on that Giants team, it's like having a Ferrari, but with a Pinto engine. Like,
Yeah.
what are we doing? So no, Giants fans, he wasn't leading you anywhere. And so don't feel bad that you decided to move on from him. Believe it or not, it was probably a smart move to move on from him because you would have just paid him a bunch of money for him to not do anything for you because you suck. Now you get to tear it down, try to rebuild it, and move forward. So it's best for both parties. You're both good people, and your marriage just didn't work out. No hard feelings. Wish you all the best.
Yeah, I'm going to sell that, Buckley. I got a hot take for you on this one. First of all, this is not the hot take part. I would just like to say that I think Saquon Barkley seems like a really good dude.
Seems that way.
Yeah.
And it was great that he had his moment. Like, I root for guys like that.
Yeah.
Seems like he seems awesome, and his kids were adorable. And my hot take is that it's not the Giants, because obviously they used to have Saquon, they got rid of Saquon. I think it's worse to be a Dallas Cowboys fan
There
today.
you go.
I think that's
better.
possible.
Because not only did they, a Dallas sports
You could have had him.
you could have had him.
Yep.
But that's your rival, much similar to the Giants and Eagles. Also, you just got Luka yanked out from under you, and your new coach is Brian Schottenheimer.
There you go. That's the best.
Yep.
Bingo.
Come on.
Bingo.
Dallas fans still had the worst
Dallas
day.
guy is going,
Yeah.
what on earth?
I saw a Dallas fan joke that after the Chiefs loss, they should just go ahead and trade Mahomes in the middle of the night and call him fat and say he didn't work hard.
Yeah.
Finally, one more quick one for you here. This, I don't know how you guys like the Tom Brady broadcast. We need to go back to Brazil.
Patrick Mahomes sai do pocket, tenta o passe em movimento e interceptado! Lá vai o Cooper de Jim, ele recebe os bloqueios, ainda o Cooper de Jim para a endzone, touchdown! Touchdown, Philadelphia Eagles! Cooper de Jim, dos grandes jogadores da defesa dos Eagles! Interceptando o Patrick Mahomes numa terceira para 16. É o Philadelphia Eagles amassando o Kansas City Chiefs do Superdome, Paulo!
E não é a primeira vez que o Mahomes força um passe, né? Ele forçou um logo no início da partida e quase foi interceptado pelo Isaiah Rodgers. Ele simplesmente não viu o Dejean, achou que o Dejean estava em outra marcação.
It makes you want to watch it makes you want to watch the Brazilian broadcast instead of the American one.
We can all admit at this point that we thought the Spanish language broadcasts were king of the mountain. Remember, the Japanese had their moment, but I'm telling you right now, the Portuguese, the Brazilians, they're top of the heap when it comes to the calls.
That's great. By the way, Vancouver Ford text line for the win. LOL, Cowboys fans are over the moon about the Luka trade. They're all Lakers fans.
Fair enough.
Not Mavs fans.
Well
That
played.
is fantastically
well played.
true. Fantastically
Well
true.
played.
Stock Watch brought to you by Goldberg Jones. When it comes to divorce, custody, or child support issues, trust Goldberg Jones to help. Call 1-800-DIVORCE. Phone questions answered at no charge. All right, I've got viral video news, and the era has become. Next on In the News, here's Buck.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Ryan Buckley with this SportsCenter update. First on the Fan, the Philadelphia Eagles are your Super Bowl 59 champions. They steamrolled the Chiefs 42-22 the final. Still no three-peats in the history of the Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts takes home Super Bowl MVP honors. Philly are slight favorites to win it again next season at 6-1 odds. The Chiefs, Ravens, and Bills are all 7-1 to lift the Lombardi Trophy. The Blazers back on the hardwood tonight after seeing their 6-game win streak snapped on Saturday. They're in the Mile High City taking on the Nuggets for consecutive games. Matisse Thybulle remains out tonight with an ankle. Jeremy Grant, Chris Murray, and Robert Williams are all questionable. The Nuggets are favored by 9.5. Meanwhile, in Los Angeles, Luka Doncic is expected to make his Lakers debut tonight against the Jazz. That one tips at 7:30 on ESPN, with the Lakers favored by 12.5. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Ryan Buckley, the 1080 The Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Tired of getting dinged by subscriptions? We won't send you a bill. Portland's sports leader, 1080 The Fan.
Well, I don't know who's getting roasted or injured the most on social medias today, but it's probably Mahomes. Maybe Reed. Maybe
Drake.
Trav.
Yeah, they're taking
Drake.
Well, T-Swizzle was taken. She got booed. There are a lot of people with some
She
hurt
got
feelings,
booed.
but, you know,
Why
Drake.
would they boo her?
I don't know. People hate her indiscriminately. I don't know why.
That's
but
probably just the Eagle guy.
Mostly
probably.
Eagle fans just
Eagle guy hates everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, it is
Sure
Philly
do.
fan. He's just out there, starting fires and causing riots and whatnot. So maybe that's the thing, is maybe you're out, partying, you're having a grand old time. Someone's trying to climb a greased light pole, falls on top of you, injures your back. What the hell are you going to do?
Yeah, there were a lot of people injured in Philly last night.
Oh, did you see people doing the brotherly shove?
No.
So 2 groups of Eagle fans got together, again, all Eagle fans, and they recreated the brotherly shove. One set of Eagle fans playing defense, one playing offense, just rammed into each other on the street. I guarantee there's a spinal issue there somewhere.
Sounds like a lawsuit.
Exactly.
Call.
Hey, you know who was down in New Orleans? The Advocates.
Were they?
I have it on good authority that Donikin
were they partying?
Was. They were at the French Quarter.
Okay. Yeah, call Donikin, the Advocates, Ken and Donnie. They're of no cost to you. If you're ever injured, they don't get paid until you win. So if you've been injured, you need more than a lawyer. You deserve an advocate. Go to advocateslaw.com.
The Cold Start.
Some Super Bowl talk, but we put a pin in that for a moment because the people need their news.
We do. Not just people, but we, the editorial we, including me, I need my news.
Well, you've got it.
Thank you.
It is February 10, 2025. It is time for In the News. I'm your noted newsman. Hello, thank you. Thank you so much. It's brought to you by the Advocates, injury attorneys at advocateslaw.com. Today is National Football Hangover Day. I wonder why.
I didn't get overly drunk.
Yeah, me neither.
No, I kept it. That was just me at the the house, and I kept it on the rails.
It is also National Poop Day.
What? I don't know. Maybe all that bad food that you had, and get the whiskey essence.
Did you eat bad food? Because I didn't.
Again, not too bad. Made pot roast sandwiches with a delightful spicy horseradish sauce, some 7-layer dip, but no.
How are your bowels? Everything good?
Yeah, everything's good. We're operating. Got to the gym. We're all right.
Yeah. Well, that viral video from the Alaska flight headed to Portland. Well, actually, it was supposed to go to Portland.
I feel like we're in a lot of...
I know.
Portland's like a Stranger Things upside down. A lot of stuff happens to or from us.
I can't talk you off of that. I don't... It's weird.
What is our deal? Because we're not a big hub.
Well, this was in Oakland.
Yeah.
They never got off the ground because of this incident, and they had to cancel the flight.
Yeah.
But they were going to come to Portland, and it was and there's video of it. It's really wild. It's been circulating out there on, internet and such. February 1, this dude is holding on to this woman who is seated in front of him's hair, and he won't let it go. He seems like a man in his, 50s or 60s. Seems like a big man, although you can't really see him.
Yeah,
but he's seated. Yeah. And the flight attendant comes over, and they're trying to get him to let go of this woman's hair.
And he is not.
He will not. And the flight attendant is a male. Yeah. He is beating the face of the dude holding the woman's hair.
Some hammer fists towards him.
Have you seen this video yet?
No, this is news to me. Now I'm looking it up.
Now look, they're not exactly explosive punches. If you know, I mean, like.
Well, to be fair to the flight attendant,
they're kind of slappy.
Yeah, it's kind of hard in those confined spaces, to really get some good leverage.
Yeah, but he's trying. Like he is trying to punch the crap out of this guy.
Yes.
And he hits him several times in the face. The guy finally lets go of the woman's hair. The woman gets up, goes to another seat, or leaves. I don't know where she goes. Jumps out of the plane. I don't know. They're not in the air. They're just getting ready to go to Portland.
Yeah.
And then the guy is the guy who was holding the hair starts kind of doing that loud shrieking, maybe sort of like obviously a mental episode, but maybe perhaps there was like, what am I trying to say? Maybe he's just not.
Yeah. He's not all there.
Well, or he just has a disability or something. It almost seems like that to me. Like he didn't really. It wasn't like it's just some malicious. I leave open the idea that it was not malicious. It was a situation where the guy was not. He didn't really know what he was doing, or he can't control himself, or something like that. I don't know.
I can see that. Like the guy had some sort of a tick, or I don't know.
Correct.
Like,
yeah.
right.
So anyway, or he's nervous. I don't know. So the flight attendant turns around and says, "I need another able-bodied male to help me with this guy."
Yeah.
And that's when the video ends.
I do appreciate that the other able-bodied male that came over didn't bother to take his glasses or headphones off.
He kept his headphones on.
He's got some bows. Like, I'm just saying. Like, if you asked me, like in that situation, all right, I'm there. I'm there to help you, bro. We're gonna do this.
Yeah.
I am gonna take off my glasses and I'm gonna take off my headphones. I don't need to be listening to like smooth jazz while we're gonna go throat punch this guy.
Well, he had to finish the podcast.
I guess. Maybe he's right in the middle of something important.
But this goes back to something we talked about just the other day in the club.
Yeah.
Like, would you help, in an incident?
And I'm guessing you saying
no.
no.
Well, I would say this is what I'm talking about. Like, it's usually who's in proximity.
Yeah.
So if I'm the guy sitting there and he's like, I need another able-bodied male, you have to, as an able-bodied male, you have to step in.
Yeah, you gotta go.
You just do.
Yeah.
He's asking for your help.
Yeah.
You have to help. If you're 3 rows away and there are 4 other able-bodied dudes,
they got it.
Yeah, that guy right there with the headphones.
Again, I got my podcast going
That's
right
right
now. I feel bad for the person that was sitting next to this, where the dude's having to lean over and drop the hammer fists on him.
I know, it's pretty wild.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Pretty wild. Anyway.
And it does appear, the guy's got like, it doesn't mean he's like super old, but he does have white hair. The guy who was grabbing
Who was being punched.
The guy who was being punched.
Yeah.
It does seem like an odd thing to just grab the lady in front and then just start trying to rip her hair out.
Well, he was holding on to her hair.
Yeah, pulling her head back.
I got to be honest with you. This may be a hot take on this. I don't think you, as a flight attendant, should be punching your passenger's face. I just, dude, I don't know what they teach him in flight school. Maybe that's the right protocol, but I feel like that dude may be in a little bit of trouble here.
Nah, I think he's
maybe not. Because of that very...
If someone else has a hold of your hair, and it's one thing, here's what we don't know. If you're just holding the hair, that's one thing. But if you are yanking someone's hair and jerking their head back, you got to find a way to get them to let go. And my guess is, in order to start the old hammer fist, my guess is there were multiple attempts to get my man to let go of the hair, and at that point, dude, all bets are off. Then you start throwing the haymakers.
Yeah.
Rob's like,
I don't know.
I'm watching the hammer fist now. It is really something.
Yeah, he's throwing at it, throwing down on the guy.
Yeah. And it's just in such short range, too.
Yeah.
Just like,
well, by the way, too. Look, I'm not.
And they're not tough punches.
But that flight attendant, he had that
Oh, yeah.
That guy has been there. He's done that. We're just, you know what? We're done with this. Not today, you son of a bitch. This is the straw that broke the camel's back, and we're coming out swinging.
That is fair.
Yeah.
You can see it in his face.
Yes.
He's seeing red.
He's so over this, and like he's just fixing it himself.
That said, I don't know. I think I expect more out of my fearless flight leaders.
Which is worse, that dude, or like imagine if you're sitting there, and someone behind grabs Nurse Nice's hair.
Mm-hmm.
And just starts yanking, and you're sitting next to Nurse Nice. Mm-hmm. You turn around and you're like, oh my God, Graybeard here has a hold of my wife's hair. You're like, dude, let go. He's not letting go. You're trying to grab his hand to get it off. It's not letting go. What do you do?
Well, I think I'm going after the hand. I think I'm certainly stepping in.
Yeah.
And I think I'm going after his hand and
Yeah,
arm.
I'm saying, like, it's not working, though. Like, he's got the ravioli fist, that little kid death grip, and he's not letting go of the hair.
I'd probably pull out my Glock.
I think the only thing you can do at that point
and
is
point it sideways.
He starts swinging at the face.
I don't
Man,
point
the
it like
shriek
this.
is really something. I just got to the shriek.
Yeah.
I had to turn it on in my headphones.
Now, what is
Yeah.
that? What does that tell you? Does that?
Yeah, there's an episode going on. This
There's
isn't just
something-
someone that's like mad because someone reclined their seat.
Right.
This is like feels like a mental break, perhaps. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I think we're on the same page here.
It's a Will.
I have no follow-up.
It's a Will Ferrell stepbrother sort of thing.
It really is.
Yeah.
It's a shriek.
It's tough.
I'd like to keep an eye on this story for you, and I will do that as your noted newsman.
Thank you.
Coming up next,
we'll circle back. I guarantee there'll be more. To this.
I want to know what was going on with the guy, and two, what if anything happens to the flight attendant there. The era has become next on the Fan.
This is the Fan's Window into Sports, a view into today's top stories. Brought to you by Window Nation, online at windownation.com.
Even if they can find a stopgap for the time being, a name that they can bring in, a veteran player that they can bring in, no one was going to provide what they felt and thought and expected Mark Williams was going to provide.
That's a killer for the Lakers.
Yeah, if you didn't see, the Mark Williams trade got rescinded because he didn't pass his physical, so Dalton Connect is back with the Lakers.
Yeah, I mean, they said there were multiple issues, and they don't have a center at all. And they thought that this guy could be the final piece to a championship run this year, and I guess called Dwight Howard.
Hey, worse things, I guess.
Bring him on in.
Window into Sports brought to you by Window Nation. Right now at Window Nation, 60% off all window styles, 2 years interest-free financing as well. Schedule your estimate by calling 866-90NATION or visiting windownation.com.
Slam Dunk in Vegas is a nationwide contest for a chance to win a trip for you and 3 friends to Las Vegas, plus $5,000 each to fund the ultimate viewing experience. Stay at the Circa Resort and Casino, Las Vegas's premium sports viewing destination, and visit the biggest March Hoops party at Stadium Swim. Download the Odyssey app and listen to the Fan on the app for at least 1 hour for your daily entry. More info at 1080thefan.com.
This is a story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for university housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Grainger comes in. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
You okay?
I can't sleep with this cough.
Sounds like you need to vaporize that cold.
Vaporize?
Yeah, with NyQuil VapoCool. It's NyQuil plus a rush of Vicks vapors.
Whoa.
So you ready to get some sleep? Thank you, NyQuil VapoCool.
NyQuil VapoCool, the vaporizing nighttime coughing, aching, fever, best sleep with a cold medicine. And to vaporize sore throat pain, try Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Hey, it's Suk. When you think
more drugs and prostitution. But I wonder if there's enough room at that place for all these people. You're probably running out of space.
Well, that's probably the rivals.
Yeah, probably.
Got that operation. You can't. You can't just take that over.
I love that. I saw the news crew went out there to try to get to the bottom of why do we have to pretend that this is some sort of no one can figure out what happened? I got a good idea.
Yeah, exactly.
And they said that there's no police presence, but whoever owns the hotel has hired one of those metro security companies, and they're there with bullhorns telling people to get out of there. Which, by the way, now they're just in the parking lot apparently.
Nowhere to go.
Well, I mean, does that say something that you were living in the den of iniquity here, and then when you got kicked out, you just moved to the parking lot? I think we got a good idea.
Well, you can't just wrap up business that easily.
Apparently you can.
Well, no. I mean, their business. They have to stay there because
true.
They've got
yeah.
humans to traffic.
To be fair, if I am involved in human trafficking, it is probably a bit off-putting to have to uproot my operation.
A big shipload's coming in.
That's
you can't
true.
be just moving.
Yeah. How am I going to let everyone know where and that's why you just move out to the parking lot. You're like, hey, we were in 34A, now we're in parking spot B.
It's just easier.
It's just easier.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
All right. The Era has become news real quick.
The Era has become.
The iconic Bob's Red Mill is closing. Both the retail store and the cafe out there in Milwaukee.
People are rushing to try to get one last run of Bob's.
Yeah. He died last year, about this time last year. And now they're closing.
Did you see the line?
Yeah.
Yeah, people are clamoring to get in and get some granola and oatmeal one last time.
Did you ever go to Bob's?
I don't think I ever went in, but I have had products from Bob's Red Mill, but I've never actually gone into the Big Red Barn.
Okay.
But sometimes you're over there by the A-Crop, and you drive by and you're like, oh, what's up, Bob?
Yeah, I went in there once.
How was it?
Yeah. It's kind of like the halftime show. It was fine.
Yeah, it's fine. Get some quality granola, whatever. Some bread.
No, I didn't really shop there. I was eating lunch there. They have a cafe and
a sandwich bar sort of thing.
Yeah, and it was fine.
Yeah, pretty good. Well, to some people, it's
I know it's an institute. It's iconic.
Yes.
No longer.
No. So rest in peace, Bob's Red Mill. Rest in peace, Quality Inn. I'm not sure which one the community will feel more, but look, can we say that from a cultural standpoint, our city lesser than today for those two
That's
losses?
right. Two Portland landmarks.
Yes. Both gone.
That's in the news. Feb 10, 2025. In the news next on The Fan.
Hot 5 at 5 next on The Fan.
Oh, wait. Sorry. Hot 5 at 5 next on The Fan. What am I doing?
Like a quarterback without an offensive line. This is McDaniel Reynolds.
The Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Ryan Buckley with this Sports Center update. First on The Fan, the Philadelphia Eagles steamroll the Chiefs in the Super Bowl 40-22, the final score. Jalen Hurts wins Super Bowl MVP, throwing a couple touchdown passes and rushing for another. Philly are slight favorites to win it again next season at 6-1. The Chiefs, Ravens, and Bills all 7-1 to lift the Lombardi Trophy. Seahawks 65-1. The Blazers are back on the hardwood tonight after seeing their 6-game win streak snapped. They are in the Mile High City taking on Nikola Jokic and the Nuggets. Tip-off in just about an hour. Matisse Thybulle, Jeremy Grant, Chris Murray, and Robert Williams are all out for Portland. The Nuggets favored by 9. Meanwhile, in Los Angeles, Luka Doncic will make his Lakers debut this evening against the Jazz. That one tipping at 7:30 on ESPN, with the Lakers favored by 12.5. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Ryan Buckley at the 1080 The Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Slam Dunk in Vegas is our nationwide contest for a chance to have the ultimate tournament viewing experience with 3 of your friends. More info at 1080thefan.com.
Good afternoon. At the tone, Pacific Daylight Time will be...
It's 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock.
One step closer to my own personal hell.
This is Primetime on Sports Radio 1080 The Fan.
We expect the best. We're not afraid to break someone. Do you hear me?
Primetime is your source for the best in local, regional, and national sports.
Go ahead and clap. Mediocrity deserves applause.
Isaac Robb.
I'm miserable. I had to get up at 10 o'clock this morning.
Jason Sakanet.
I'm a dude playing a dude disguised as another dude.
Primetime on 1080 The Fan.
All right. Welcome back. Hope you're having a nice little Monday. It's your Sports Bros, Rob and Sook. I'm Rob. Big Sook's right over there.
Right here.
Still have a lot to discuss with regards to the Super Bowl. I have jotted down in my notes here what I thought was the strangest thing that happened in that game by a mile.
Interesting.
And I want to bring it to your attention because I bet you thought of it, but we haven't talked about it yet.
No, I'm trying to think
I just thought it was really odd.
Yeah, I'm trying to think in my head what's the oddest thing I saw, because I'm with you. I take a little running note tally during the game. And I'm trying to kind of scroll through there, and I'm interested to know what you think is the weirdest thing that happened.
Well, it had nothing to do with X's and O's.
Okay.
So we'll get to that in our next seggy. But we got to wrap up Super Bowl talk, and we got to talk about the prop results.
Yeah.
Hey, I
got screwed at the end. I was so pissed.
Did you?
Yeah.
Which prop?
I had a tasty little number, and I thought it was going to be a lock. Was the longest completion for the Chiefs under 33.5 yards. And all game they're doing jack squat. And then when the game doesn't matter, they throw that one to Worthy.
That's a rough beat.
That goes for 50 yards. And by the way, then he starts talking S. Hey, jackass, you're getting blown out. The only one you're talking S to is us bettors here that you just jobbed.
Yeah, drop that.
I didn't like that.
Idiot.
That hurt a little bit.
Someone asked, did he have the quietest 8 catches for 157 and 2 touchdowns in Super Bowl history?
But it was against all their backups.
No, of course it was, but it's just, you look at the stat line and you think someone had a monster game. But
when Kenny Pickett is quarterbacking, you know the game is over, and that's when they were throwing those balls.
That prop cashed.
Yeah, a lot of people really excited because every year there's a number of players to attempt a pass prop, and you either need like a trick play or a punter to fake a punt, and Pickett coming in and throwing one cashed for a lot of people.
Well, I think too there's a prop that is, will Kenny Pickett take a snap? Yeah. Will Carson Wentz take a snap? Even the third string guys.
Kenny Two Gloves.
I thought the Chiefs should have benched Mahomes. Throwing Wentz probably could have been a different game.
See what happens. Right, with Jalen Hurts, right, getting benched in the national championship for Tua.
We'll talk about the ads and the halftime show, all that in the club, 6 to 7 right now. The hot 5 at 5.
Hot topics, hot opinions.
Oh, golly, I'm hot today.
And hot air. It's time for the Hot 5 at 5.
That's hot.
The Hot 5 at 5 on Primetime with Isaac and Sue.
No, I mean it. That's very hot.
The Hot 5 at 5 with Isaac and Sue. Brought to you on The Fan by Victor Rico's Mexican Food. Discover Victor Rico's new savory menu items. Order in store, online, or get it delivered straight to your door at victorricos.com.
Freaking punch it, bitch!
Number 5.
Well, just as Tiger Woods said last week, he was in for the Genesis Invitational. He is now out.
He's hokey pokey in this son of a bitch.
Well, he did lose his mama.
Yeah.
She died.
She was a titan of the sport, according to TGL.
He says that his body's not ready, so he will not play. You know, the Genesis is this weekend. It's not at the Riv because of the fires. It's at Torrey Pines.
But that is his tournament.
It is. He says he'll be there, but he's not going to play. Also, did you see the big Thomas Dietrich win over the weekend?
I tend to miss those.
What?
I only pay attention to the big stuff.
What do you guys do if you don't watch golf? What do you watch leading up to the Super Bowl? Do you watch like all the pregame crap?
I watched about an hour of the pregame, and then I went to a class before that. So,
because that pregame stuff, man, oh my god! Well, every once in a while I'll turn over there. I'm like, Jesus, why did I turn this on?
Well, I went and worked out, and then I came home and started eating and drinking, and then the pregame was just kind of on in the background.
Oh yeah, who won?
Little French bulldog won.
Really?
She was the MVP and was adorable.
What's her name?
I forgot. But she was cute.
It makes me sad.
Rich Guy Battles, an arbitrator has ruled in favor of Mark Lohr and Alex Rodriguez over Glenn Taylor as majority owners of the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Yeah, if you remember, so they had an agreement to buy the team, and then the owner pulled out and was like, no, and he cited some horsecrap reasons. The reality is he just realized he could get more for the team.
Yeah.
And A-Rod and the other guy,
Mark Lohr.
Mark Lohr. They were like, no, like we had an agreement. Well, they went to arbitration, and it turns out that A-Rod and this other dude are the owner.
Isn't that weird that A-Rod is going to be, and I get it, he's not the big money guy, but he's going to be the owner of the Timberwolves?
Well, that's, again, it's like Tom Brady. You're a small little piece, but you get to be the face of the organization.
Watch A-Rod come in and like build a dynasty. He's like, what's so hard about this?
Hey, Timberwolves are actually a halfway decent team.
Puts them all on steroids.
There you go. Give him the clear, baby. Hey, you don't hear a lot about roids in the NBA, right?
Dan Lanning is losing a key member of his staff as Junior Adams is headed to the Cowboys to be the wide receivers coach.
And that's what happens when you run a successful program. Plus, I think a lot of college coaches with NIL and the recruiting stuff, they don't want anything to do with that. Go to the NFL.
Adams was the Ducks co-offensive coordinator and receivers coach. Cooper Kupp called him the best coach he ever had when he was back at Eastern Washington.
That's a nice little feather in your cap there.
The Ducks securing 9 transfers this cycle, placing them 4th on the 24/7 portal rankings.
Yeah, I saw they just got a corner from Ole Miss today that I saw they nabbed.
3 O-linemen, top running back.
Well, and they've done very well in the transfer portal. I mean, there haven't been many misses, and they've really reloaded each year.
So they're top 5 in portal rankings. They're top 5 in high school class rankings, or maybe top 10 this year, and then top 5 next year in high school rankings.
Yeah, they're not going anywhere. It's going to be a very talented team for years to come.
Yeah, but is Ryan Day their coach?
He is not. $12.5 million Ryan Day is worth a
year. The city of brotherly love will host its 2025 Super Bowl parade on Valentine's Day.
Well, that ought to go well in Philly.
Oof. It's mainly due to the weather. They're expecting snow tomorrow and Wednesday and then rain on Thursday.
Is there any doubt that a woman is going to end up stabbing a husband in the neck with a fork because he is going to choose to get wildly drunk on Valentine's Day and go to the parade and forget about plans that they've had for like 3 months?
No, it's inevitable. Yeah. It's just that
it's going to be an epidemic in Philly. I think hundreds of men are going to do that.
I think they did this knowing that there would be a few casualties. It's like they got to do it for the masses.
You got to support the team. Are they going to grease the poles? I like that they had to grease the lamp poles in Philadelphia
on Bourbon
and
Street.
New Orleans.
Yeah. Those Philly fans are crazy.
And this is after someone already died climbing a light pole.
The odds-on favorite to win next year's Super Bowl, you guessed it, the Eagles.
Yeah.
Plus 625, followed by Kansas City, and then the Bills and Ravens.
And again, good teams are going to continue to be good.
Oh.
I love how people are somehow writing off the Chiefs now.
Yeah, they suck.
I like this one. The blueprint is out.
Number 1.
Yeah, have a really, really, really good team that plays its best game of its life.
Great blueprint. Yeah. Solid. Just go back for the last 6 years and have a wizard GM completely rebuild your roster.
Well, it took exactly 1 half, and Anthony Davis is already out for the Mavericks. They're saying multiple weeks with an adductor strain. It could be a month, and some are saying season-ending surgery.
Yeah, there's been plenty of people that say that this thing can be tricky. Think Damian Lillard, and that if it's surgery, it's done, and he will have spent all of 1 half in a Dallas Maverick uniform this year. You think Nico's just sitting there right now like, you son of a One half, and by the way, it was an amazing half. He had like 23, like 15 and 5.
There's a reason why they call him street clothes. This was the most predictable thing ever.
I feel bad. I feel bad for their fans.
Meanwhile, Luka is making his Lakers debut tonight. They are playing the Jazz. Blazers are in Denver for the first of two there. They'll play tonight and Wednesday.
And I think that is their final two before the All-Star break, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, it's about damn time.
Yeah.
We got to the damn All-Star break.
Well, we don't
Good
have any
grief.
All-Stars, but we've got some Rising Stars players.
Magic
There you
Johnson.
go.
Hot 5 brought to you by Victor Rico's Mexican Food, a hit with the whole family. Order in-store, online, or delivered to your door at victorricos.com. When you think of flavor, think of Victor Rico's. All right, we'll get back to the Super Bowl. I thought it was a very strange thing that happened in that game, and nobody's really talking about it. But I'd like to bring that up.
I'm intrigued.
And we'll wrap up the Super Bowl when we return on The Fan. Hey, it's me, but you already knew that because my voice is the same, you know? Here on the radio talking about Windows right now in February, and February is flying by. It's already the 10th. Only a couple weeks left to take advantage of this offer from Window Nation, where they are giving you 60% off all Windows styles. So if you need Windows for your home, now is the time. 60% off is about as good of a deal as they'll pass along, and you can pay nothing with no interest for 2 years. Window Nation is great. They have over 20,000 5-star reviews, and they value your satisfaction. They have quality, service, and affordability. And if anything should ever go wrong, which it rarely does, but if it does, the windows that you buy have a full lifetime warranty. So I trust Window Nation. You should too. Schedule a free, no obligation, in-home consultation right now with the pros at Window Nation by calling 866-90-NATION, 866-90-NATION, or visit windownation.com. When you're on the horn with them or online, please tell them you heard it from Isaac on The Fan.
A long season
Well, there were a lot of things about yesterday's broadcast that I thought were strange and bad.
I think I have a guess now, but keep going.
Well, I love the Super Bowl. It's so interesting because you have so much to talk about. The halftime show, the ads.
It's a cornucopia of topics.
It really is, and there's always we just we're hyper aware of just everything that they broadcast and everything that they do. I thought that it got a little, I don't know. I think they're getting a little overly tribute-y. And I knew that they would obviously do a thing on what happened in New Orleans on New Year's Eve, but now it seems like you have to mention every death, every tragedy. Sure. You have to mention the wildfires. You have to mention North Carolina. Yeah. Can't you just? I mean, that happened in New Orleans. Yeah. Can't they just do a bit on that?
Because I don't know about you. And again, I may be biased. I like some of the pregame stuff, I think, more than you do. But one of my favorite parts of the broadcast was, and again, all fairness, I love New Orleans. It might be my favorite city in the United States, and I love Lady Gaga. But that Hold My Hand on Bourbon Street with all the first responders.
It was good.
I
didn't see it live, but I went back and watched it.
That got me a little bit.
Well, you knew that they would do something.
But then it turned, like you said, then they have to mention tragedy.
Yeah, it's like, I feel like we're getting overly, I don't know. It's just so.
Well, there was definitely a theme at the Super Bowl of, except for the halftime show, bring everybody together, right? From the Jesus ads to the hate thing to there was a lot of America, we're together. The one thing we can all agree on is no tragedies and football's awesome. Like there was that sense of.
And you know what bothers me about that? Not that, I mean, that's a good thing to try to do.
Right? Yeah,
but
it's a good sentiment.
Here's one example that I thought was just so disingenuous. Mm-hmm. So they had the Rocket mortgage ad.
Yes.
Where it was, they're all singing Country Roads, by John Denver. Yeah. And then they come back from that break, and they are playing Country Roads in the stadium.
Yeah, people are singing.
And they're panning around to the crowd who is singing it. And it is not it's not like the viral video from Germany, where in Germany, that's a thing. When the NFL plays over there, they play Country Roads, and all the Germans are all swilling their Gutschdemeanors or whatever, and they're all singing along.
Got their beer shoes out. Let's go.
And
Lederhosen.
It's really that was a viral moment from earlier in the year in the NFL. They
tried to recreate it.
Well, yeah. So they try to recreate that. Yeah. But then tag it with a sponsor. That's like the opposite. And then they come back and they're like, this moment of unity inspired by Rocket. It's like, dude, that's the opposite of a viral video. That's the part that drives me crazy, that the Super Bowl.
Everything is sponsored by something. Trust me. Like, no matter what it is, unity, love, peace, it's all brought to you by Bud Light.
So they want, I mean, how about just create a viral moment, or at least try? Well, they can't do that. They have to take the old viral moment, slap Rocket on it, and tell us it's a moment of unity. No, it's not. By the way, no one in that stadium really cared that they were playing John Denver.
Because no one in that stadium was just watching the commercial, I'd imagine.
Exactly. They don't even know what's
so it's like it means nothing to them.
You don't tell us something's a viral video that isn't, or a viral moment. It's not.
It is that all of that. Was that?
No, that's not. That's not even what I wanted to get to.
That's all right. I hadn't thought of that, but yes, that is a valid point of the fake viral moment.
So the strangest thing in that game to me by a mile, and I wonder if you guys thought this.
Yeah.
Tom Brady, and we can have a whole discussion about how Tom Brady is as a broadcaster.
Sure.
$350 million is a lot of freaking money. He can handle criticism, okay? Mm-hmm. He's not the best. I've always, to this moment, if you've listened to the show, I don't think he's that bad of a broadcaster.
I think he's poor.
Yeah, and a lot of people do. I don't see that as much, but I thought he had a bad day yesterday.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I thought was strange, this is so strange. The Chiefs are getting blown out. Mm. That MFer never once mentioned his comeback against Atlanta.
I thought he did in the...
He didn't.
Are you sure when it was...
Yes. I'm positive, dude, because I was listening for it. I'm like, this is so the whole. So it's, of course, as you know me, I get something in my kitchen, and then I'm watching for it and listening for it. He did. First of all, Kevin Burkhardt never teed him up for it.
Yeah.
he may have talked about it towards the end. But towards the end of the game, it was
the hay was in the barn.
He
would at 24-0 going into half.
You have to have that
conversation.
He never mentioned. That's why you pay him $350 million to have him in the booth.
Yeah.
That is the quarterback who orchestrated the biggest comeback in Super Bowl history, and he never talked about it. While that team was down, 24 or 34.
It was 28-3, and this was 28.
24-0.
Dude, that is so
you're right.
weird.
And I guess that didn't really dawn on me. But yeah, it's you would think that there would have been, what did you guys talk about? How did you, blah, blah,
or
blah.
just Tom, like, I wonder if he thinks maybe he didn't want to sound like he was bragging about it. But dude, this is why you're a broadcaster. Let us into what it's like to be down 25 points, your mindset, the huddle, what you're thinking about how to come back, what adjustments you made. Dude, I thought that was awful. That made Tom Brady. I'm like, dude, Tom Brady does not get this broadcasting thing because he never mentioned that one time.
I just never think he's any good. And I thought it was interesting that the most interesting part of the game for me when he actually interjected something that I thought was worthwhile was at the end when he talked about what it was like losing the Super Bowl, when he lost to the Giants, and what it was like, for Mahomes when the Buccaneers beat him. And I thought that was the only time he brought real insight to what it's like to be in the Super Bowl. Well, but I just think he's just. I just think he's bad.
I feel like the game. So he definitely didn't mention it while the game was still like what we're thinking the Chiefs may come back.
Sure.
He didn't, because I was listening for it. I know some texters are saying, well, he did. I think he mentioned it towards the end.
Mm-hmm.
And towards the end, I don't know about you, but was it me or did he get really chatty? All of a sudden,
yes,
the game got out of hand,
and
he
was trying to fill time.
There was no coming back, and Burkhardt really wasn't teeing him up.
No.
So Brady just kind of started talking.
And there were multiple times where he was talking about random stuff while plays were going on. That much I 100% remember.
Yeah, and
it
that's
was weird.
And he had trouble getting it out of breaks too.
And that's where he mentioned it, was in there, because at that point he was just having diarrhea of the mouth.
Yeah.
But he
Well, I think one of the hardest things for a broadcaster, and this is why like baseball guys are so good, is that when you have downtime and there's nothing really to talk about during the game because it's an ass kicking, you've got time to fill because you can't really get into schematics and X's and O's when the play doesn't matter and backups are in. And I do think that Tom handled that very poorly because, yes, he did get diarrhea of the mouth.
Well, he's an interesting, I mean, he's got a lot of interesting things to say.
Yeah.
He's Tom freaking Brady. Yeah. He just doesn't, doesn't spit him out the way we're expecting.
He would be much better off because again, I hate to crap on old people, but for as much crap as we give Lee Corso, hey, Terry Bradshaw.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, I'm looking at you, man. Like Jimmy Johnson sounds like Jimmy may be done. Sound like this was kind of a farewell to Jimmy Johnson. So they need to farewell to Terry Bradshaw. And Tom in long form has been pretty good. Like when Tom was doing the Super Bowl rounds, like with Colin and stuff, I thought he's much better in that.
Right.
What they need to do is just admit that the play-by-play thing doesn't work. And boot Jimmy and Terry off that show because it's bloated anyways, and put Tom in that. Put him next to Strahan. Put him in that context, and I think he would be much better because he is not cut out to be a color analyst.
He also had the really weird deal of he never would admit the game was over. And I get that because he's Tom Brady. Like, you don't think that way when you're a high-level athlete.
Yeah, he kept mentioning, it's Mahomes.
Well, he kept his never over till it's over mentality. Yeah. At some point, dude, take that hat off. Take the hat off. Yeah. You're in the broadcast booth. We all know the game is over. It's okay if you admit the game is over.
Yeah.
It was weird.
Well, again, I think you just see inexperience. When that's your first time ever doing that, and it's been a rough year, to hand him the Super Bowl. Remember when the Patriots fired Gerard Mayo and said that's on us? We put him in a situation that he wasn't ready. That's Fox. They put Tom Brady in a situation that he was not able to handle. That stage was too big for him, and that's weird to say because no stage should be too big for Tom Brady. But that's not like playing quarterback. That moment was too big for him, and he didn't know what he was doing, and it was bad.
Well, he doesn't really have the gift of gab. Like,
no, he does not. It's just awkward.
He's a guy that if he wasn't Tom Brady,
you'd
sit next to him in a bar, you would get up and leave. Like, he's not.
I kept his watch kept bothering me too. I couldn't stop looking at his watch.
Oh, the $800,000 tourbillon?
Yeah. It was so the gold on it. It was like that scene from Pulp Fiction when they open up the case with the soul, and I was like, geez, Tom, the hell is that thing? And then of course everyone started looking it up. I'm like, oh, it's $750,000.
Yeah, I don't think he's cut for like chewing the fat. I think he's cut for like being teed up by Burkhart or somebody, or being teed up in a studio setting. But if he hopped in here with you guys for 4 hours just to kick it around, I don't think that's where he works.
Oh God, no. No, you'd have to interview. You'd have to try to drag stuff out.
Like, he doesn't have that personality. And I think you need a little bit of that when you're on the color of a 4-hour football
Which is
game.
why I said he would be much better on a studio show where you know what you're going to do. It's scripted. It's not off the cuff. And I'll tell you, the ability to get in solid talking points in a 20 or sometimes 15-second window is a real skill. And that ain't Tom. He does not know when to do it. He doesn't know how to do it. And I don't put that on mine. It's Fox. Fox screwed up. And then the score bug and
let's get into that.
It was a clunky broadcast.
We got a lot of stuff from the broadcast we haven't discussed yet. The Super Bowl shishimi.
Yeah, and if you want a deep dive into the actual game, go back. Our first hour and a half, we got pretty sportsy on that.
So that's coming up next. Here's Bud.
Now.
When they're basically just throwing these go balls. It is what he does the best. And he threw money ones to AJ Brown and none bigger right there to Smith.
Who's leading the charge? Powered by Battery Exchange. Mention code BXT10 at checkout for 10% off your entire purchase this month online at batteryexchange.com.
If you've been thinking about replacing your old furnace and air conditioner, now's the perfect time to get it done. That's because it's Freebuary at Three Mountains Home Services. When you buy an air conditioner from Three Mountains, you'll get the furnace for free. I know that sounds too good to be true, and I've confirmed this offer, and trust me, there's no gimmicks here. They know home comfort is important to you, so if you need to replace your air conditioner, they'll make it worth your while by giving you a free furnace. Call Three Mountains now at 503-714-6460, or you can schedule a free estimate online at threemountainshomservices.com.
You know what? Let's throw a party this year for the big game.
Hey, we can invite our friends over and all take turns yelling at the TV during the game.
But first, we should get a new TV.
Yeah, like one of the top-rated brands, Samsung, LG, or Sony.
Okay, so I'll start shopping on the internet, then head over to the Warehouse Club to compare.
But if that's all we do, we'll be sorry.
Why?
Because the best deals on those top-rated TVs are at video only, not online or at the club.
Video only has better deals?
Yep. We could save up to $500 if we shop smart.
Then we could afford a larger model and really impress our friends.
At Video Only, you won't find huge stores with refrigerators or microwaves, but you will find the best deals on top-rated TVs, soundbars, and monitors. Shop around. Just make sure you visit Video Only, because if you don't,
you'll be sorry.
In Jansen Beach, Clackamas, Beaverton, Salem, and Eugene, Video Only.
Just hearing the word IRS can make people break out in a cold sweat. No one wants to deal with the IRS, and now you don't have to. The good news is Legal Tax Defense has been successfully negotiating with the IRS for more than 15 years. It doesn't matter how much you owe, whether it's $5,000 or $5 million. You deserve the best in the business on your side, and that is Legal Tax Defense. Even if you're working with someone else and just want a second opinion, there is no cost or obligation to call. They can prevent levies, liens, wage garnishments, even file back tax returns. And the best news about Legal Tax Defense is they won't take your case unless they
All right, we're pounding through our Super Bowl notes. I do have in here the score bug, the new score bug.
Yeah, it was bothering people. The floating, the floating void.
Yeah, I mean,
am I the only one? And like,
it's amazing how many people care about stuff like that.
None of that stuff bothers me. Like,
yeah, I
at
didn't
all.
mind it.
I
thought it was fine.
I mean, I know it looked weird at first, but none of that
Well,
stuff.
it's because it's new.
Yeah, I don't care.
I think to care about it either way is strange. It just shows the score.
And the same thing, like, I'm not a big fan of Brady. I think he's poor at what he does. He doesn't bother me. I've never watched a game and thought to myself, son of a bitch, that Tom Brady, if only Greg Olsen was here. I just don't get caught up in the minutia. As long as I'm watching the game and I'm interested in what's going on, and even during a blowout, I'm a bit of a football nerd, so I like the schematics of it, and I think it's kind of interesting to see how teams are going to react to things like Kansas City falling apart there. That other stuff around it, it's just noise. I guess it can enhance my viewership, but it never really gets under my skin or bothers me one way or another.
I thought the worst of social media during the game was people who were non-football people coming out of the woodwork saying, I thought the Chiefs were really good.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Well, again, we talk about this a lot, but we do these sweeping things where, like this idea, and this is the one I heard going around, I think Ryan Clark was one of these guys that had it, and that's like Josh Allen and Joe Burrow and Lamar can't beat Mahomes, but Jalen Hurts did. And I'm like, oh my God, because 2 years ago when they played the Super Bowl, Jalen Hurts certainly played well enough to beat Patrick Mahomes. And if any of those other quarterbacks had Philly's defense that basically held them to 10 meaningful points all night, they would have won too. So it's just, I hate when we use the result then to fit a narrative that we're trying to cram down someone's throat. I also heard today that all of a sudden, like, Mahomes can never be the GOAT and his legacy is ruined. Dude, Tom Brady lost twice to Eli Manning and lost to Nick Foles, for God's sakes. And Patrick Mahomes is only 7 years into his career. He's been to 5 Super Bowls. What are we talking about here? Like,
well, I think it's just how it happened.
It's Tom never looked that bad in a Super Bowl.
Right.
And stuff like that.
Right. I think that's where people are going with that. But I'm with you. It's absurd.
Yeah. We take narratives that we want to predetermined outcomes, or we're looking to get our pound of flesh, and then we try to cram it down someone's throat. Like, is Jalen Hurts now a top 3 quarterback in the league? No, he wasn't before this. He's not after it. He's a very good quarterback. And we know that in the biggest game so far in his career, the guy was lights out. The guy was money, which is why, again, an Eli Manning sort of thing. But because you win a Super Bowl MVP does not mean that you're the best player in football. Yeah, there's all of those things, but I guess that's, we need to be more Nick Wright and Stephen A. Smith in this world, and we love our hot takes, and we love these sweeping over the top statements. And I just wish sometimes as a media that we would take a step back and try to have some nuanced discussions.
What?
Yeah, right.
World are you living in?
Yeah.
Idiot.
I thought the Hertz band sneakers were kind of fun, the Jordan band ones. That
The what now?
Well, that when Jordan first came into the league, he had the band sneakers. They did a whole ad campaign based around that with Jalen Hurts because he's a Jordan guy. I did think that Hurts getting one, because he, by all accounts, seems like a really, really good guy and does take a lot of criticism and heat. I felt really, I thought that was a really cool story. I'm glad he got his.
Yeah, he seems like a good guy.
Yeah.
So does Barkley.
Yeah.
Can't really get behind Sirianni.
Yeah, and this is another
you got to
one.
give him a lot of credit.
Again, if we're going to sit here and we're going to talk about narratives changing and giving people flowers, for as much crap.
Whoa,
crack. As much.
He might be on crack too. He's got those dark circles.
I know. He looks terrible, and he's chirping at people. And look, I don't know if anyone's ever going to confuse him with Andy Reid or Bill Belichick, but if you look at his overall record. And the fact now that with two different coaching staffs, he has got back to the Super Bowl. Look, at some point, you got to say that man, now I think Howie Roseman has a bigger part in getting them here, but he's still the captain of this ship, and he's led two separate teams. And by the way, teams with some drama. The Jalen Hurts and the A.J. Brown thing, and last year was the ultimate collapse that I've ever seen. And they came back this year, and give that man his credit.
Well, he's clearly got some self-awareness.
Yes.
And I think when you're handed a roster like that from Howie Roseman, because dude, Howie Roseman, that's the Hall of Famer there's a lot of Hall of Famers probably, but I just mean the guy that deserves the most credit today.
Yes.
Overarching is Howie Roseman.
Hands down.
And I think a lot of coaches get that roster to a Super Bowl.
Sure.
That said, or even win a Super Bowl. That said, Sirianni's awareness to understand that something wasn't working, perhaps he was too, I don't even know what the nature of the relationship with Jalen Hurts. Yeah, maybe he was too volatile, or he clearly was not resonating with his quarterback. He lost both of his coordinators. For him to recognize all of that and switch it up, and like you said last year, they melted down. And it's so odd his relationship with A.J. Brown, because they're fighting, and then the next play they get him a touchdown and they're hugging. I don't know. I don't know what it's like on the inside with Nick Sirianni, but yes, I think the best thing that you can say about him is that when you have a roster like that, don't screw it up. Yeah. You got to stay out of the way. You got to put people in place and let them do their job. And he hired Fangio, he hired Kellen Moore. And he got out of the way of whatever was going on with Hurts, and it worked.
Yeah.
So for his portion of it, because in the NFL, it's not that simple, dude. You got to have a GM, you got to have an owner, you got to have a coach, you got to have a quarterback, you got to have it all. Mm-hmm. You cannot be really weak at any one of those spots and win a ton. And the Eagles aren't. So Sirianni's really good. It's just he's not Andy Reid. He's not elite, much like Jalen Hurts isn't elite.
I think it's the idea that
but he does deserve the credit.
Yeah.
Because he gets crapped on a lot. A lot of it's brought on by himself because he's fighting with fans. Sure. And he's just, I don't know, he's had some down moments.
Yeah. Well, last year was one of the worst collapses for a talented team, but he's 48-20. He's been to 2 Super Bowls. He's won one now. But and the difference is, like what you were saying, if you took Andy Reid and you replaced him with a random coach, Kansas City is nowhere near the same. And whether it's fair or not, I do think there's the belief out there that you could replace Nick Sirianni with a lot of coaches and you'd be okay.
I think you'd be right. It doesn't mean they win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, but
he's pushing a lot of good buttons in there. They clearly like him.
Yeah.
So there's part of that. But I just think that when you have a roster like that and coordinators like that, how much are you really doing besides, hey, let's stand out of the way?
And this is why I think you mentioned Ohio State kind of feeling like the Philadelphia Eagles of college football. I think you can make a lot of parallels between Ryan Day and Nick Sirianni, being born on third base and then acting like you hit a triple. And yet at the end of the day, your record is really good and you now have a ring on your finger. And when you do that, he's going to get a big raise and he's going to get his extension just like Ryan Day did. And how much he has to do with that, I don't know. I don't know where you place his importance. It's certainly not the top, but you are the head coach with a really good record of the Super Bowl champ. So again, it's good to be Nick Sirianni today.
How many of those dope talking heads in Philly have to, have to reverse pivot right now because they were tearing Sirianni a new a-hole?
They wanted him fired for the last year and a half. I mean, midway through the season when they weren't even losing, but the offense was struggling and they had the A.J. Brown drama and Hurts seemed to have some regression to him. They were calling for Sirianni's head there. They were like, lose one bad game, dumbass, and you're gone.
You know,
a la Ryan Day.
What's wild, too, about the Eagles is I sat there thinking about the Rams and how bad you feel if you're the Rams.
Yeah.
Because you're looking at this going, and I know it's all skewed now because of how bad they punished the Chiefs, the Eagles.
Yep.
But
they had them.
The Rams did have them. And I think the Rams, well, they were still, even with the snow and the sloppiness of that game, they were an armpit hair away from beating them in Philadelphia.
Yep.
Washington couldn't come close to them. The Chiefs couldn't come close to them. They were much better than Green Bay. That game was a little wonky, but the Eagles dominated that game.
The Rams blocked Jalen Carter for one more second, and
that's the one team that I wonder how they feel today because the way they're built, they could beat Kansas City for sure if they made the Super Bowl.
And this ultimately, again, why dynasties are so damn hard and why winning 3 in a row is impossible. We haven't seen it the Packers did it before the Super Bowl era, but they won 3 titles, but it's different. Everything that needs to go your way to get there, it just, again, go back to that. Jalen Carter, there was a blown assignment with the Rams offensive line, and Jalen Carter ended up getting in Stafford's face. If he doesn't, that's a wide open walk-in touchdown. That one play, Jalen Carter in that one play changes the course of everything. Because maybe if the Rams are there, then maybe we are talking about the Kansas City three-peat, and maybe we are talking about the greatest dynasty of all time, but we're not because someone didn't block Jalen Carter one time on a blown assignment. Weird things. It's just you need to be so good, and you need to be healthy, and you need to be lucky, and you just have to make 1 or 2 freaking plays at the exact right moment, and when it doesn't go your way, then we sit here and we throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Yeah, and I think there's no guarantee the Rams win that game.
No.
Even, Jalen Carter made a great play on that last one.
But it was a walk-in touchdown, and they would have won because it was it was over.
I mean, they turned it over and really shot themselves in the foot and then still almost won that game in Philly. So you wonder if the weather had been better, had the would the Rams have held up? I don't know. It just, that's the one team that's going, damn it.
We were right there.
Damn it.
Yeah. And well, imagine, all the, Buffalo and it's in Baltimore and, it just.
Yeah, that's interesting. Does this make them look worse?
Right? You're like, what the hell?
I mean, what is Buffalo doing?
Yeah, it just goes to, Tom Brady does talk about this, and everyone does, I guess, to some extent. It's like, there's only one team that feels good about their season when it's all said and done.
It's just how it went down.
It's how it went down. And you just go back and you never nitpick the good stuff. You only what if and nitpick the bad stuff. But there are going to be so many teams that just sit there and are haunted by those 1 or 2 plays. And by the way, Kansas City now gets to sit around and be haunted not by 1 or 2 plays, but by the entire damn game. I mean, if you don't think that is going to have major implications on Kansas City going forward, this is a team that has gone through shifts over the years, right? These are very different teams throughout this run that they've been on, and there will be shifts. In fact, it wouldn't shock me one bit if Kansas City sits down with Travis Kelce and tells him
he's got a big number coming next year.
He's got a big number coming up, and I know he said that he wants to be back. I think Kansas City honestly has to look at him and say, "We love you. We can't do this. So it's time to move on." They are going to have some tough choices to make, and I do think that what happened here, they can no longer afford to pay Travis Kelce what he makes and then say, "Hey, we just need you to raise your performance in the playoffs." Because he's just not that player anymore.
Maybe he takes less.
Maybe.
And stays.
He needs to.
But I always think that as a fan, it's always tougher to swallow the really close, hard-fought losses.
Than the blowouts. Sure.
Because you just come to grips with the blowout.
Yeah.
so quickly.
Yeah.
And that game was that. The Chiefs were not coming back in that game.
Nope.
And I know everybody had kept saying, well, it's the Chiefs. And the pedigree. Dude, they were not coming back in that game.
And
you could see it from even when it was 7-0.
Yeah.
You could see how they were dominating the Chiefs' offensive line, and they weren't coming back.
I thought it's 17-0 when they had the ball and there was a couple minutes left. I was like, son of a bitch, watch this. They're going to go down and score. They'll go in 17-7. They'll get the ball at the half and look out, and then they threw the pick.
They turned it over again.
They turned it over again, and that's when I was like, you know what? It's not.
Yeah.
It shattered my illusion I had built up all week. The last 2 weeks, I was like, dude, Philadelphia is better than them. They should win the game, but they won't because it's Kansas City, and Kansas City doesn't lose. And it literally took that. It took that sledgehammer hitting me in the face. Another turnover and 24-0 for me to be like, okay, it's over. It's dead. Just take him out back and shoot him because this thing is finished.
But maybe just the fact that they got torched that way.
Yeah.
As much as it's easier for fans to take it that way, even though it sucks that they lost the Super Bowl if you're a Chiefs fan, for the front office and for the organization, maybe it spurs on more change because the way it happened.
That is a very, very good point.
Is whoa.
If I'm a Kansas City fan and I'm looking to continue this run, and by the way, that run's going to be fine. They're going to be good as long as 15 and Andy Reid are there. But you are so right. If I had to choose how this goes down, a heartbreaking BS bad call loss or what happened, I will take what just happened because you're right. This will force you to go back and reevaluate everything as opposed to, well, maybe just tweak.
We're right there.
We're right there.
I thought the same thing about the Oregon loss. We keep coming back to those things being similar.
Yes. Yeah.
It really woke up Oregon fans and hopefully maybe the program, there are certain things, even though we were great, we weren't just there.
Yes.
We were not anywhere close and we needed to reevaluate
Very
some things.
true, because if they just lose a close one to Ohio State, you're like, well,
we're right there.
Yeah,
And
come
it
next
turns
year.
out you're not.
All right, coming up next, prop bet results, and then we'll get into the club on the Fan.
It's time for a Ducks Report, the inside story on Oregon athletics. Brought to you by Mods PDX. The future of building is here.
No audio, but a pair of news items. Mentioned a little bit earlier, but Junior Adams, the receivers coach, headed to Dallas. But the Ducks do pick up a commitment in defensive back Jaden Kennedy.
Yeah, so who needs Junior Adams?
Old Miss, right?
Ole Miss and Tulane. He played both.
What's his name?
Jordan. It looks like Canada with a Y on the end, but it's pronounced Kennedy, like Kennedy. Jordan Kennedy.
All right, we'll butcher that, but eventually we'll get it. Transfer portal's been good to him.
Hey, how about that guy? Doesn't like Lane Kiffin.
Hate Lane Kiffin.
All right, Mods PDX, the future of building is here.
The home of dirt and spray.
I'm dirt.
Is
The Fan.
All right, we'll get to the ads from the Super Bowl and the halftime show, all that coming up next. Prop results. I thought that the fix was in when John Batiste was doing the national anthem. Did you hear that?
3 Land of the Frees.
Yeah. So he added 2 extra Land of the Frees, and I thought, whoa, dude, this is the fix.
He knows what's
He's
up.
trying to
He
get
made
it.
the bet himself.
He's trying to get it over. But I just read that it still went under.
Still went under. He hit it like literally. It was what 20
by like half a second.
Half
they
a
basically
second.
said 120 seconds, and it was 119.3 seconds.
Yeah. And by the way, I know some people, again, old white guys love to yell at everything. I like hearing the.
We're so wronged though, us old white guys.
Of course.
You know, we've had such a rough go. Of
Not
things.
anymore. Hey, can we just say it's about time that the young athletic white man was on top? Cooper DeJean. Hello, a white pick 6.
Yeah, he gets my vote for a football player who looks least like a football player.
Yeah.
Like I don't even know what he looks like.
He was so good.
And it was his birthday.
Yeah. So somewhere there's
I thought it was Barkley's birthday.
It was both of their birthdays.
Both of them.
How about
I just enjoy that the angry white man can finally be like, yeah, finally the white man's turn. But I love hearing different styles. Like when Chris Stapleton did the national anthem.
That was great.
There was a country twang and he did he played the guitar. They're in New Orleans. That's a New Orleans legend. And he put a New Orleans spin on it with the piano. I thought that was a beautiful rendition.
Yeah, that was really good.
You know, I love it. Just sing the song. Oh my God. You're in New Orleans, maybe the most cultured city in America. Sorry, but even they did the trombone shorty and they had all New Orleans musicians. God forbid that the city of New Orleans celebrates the city of New Orleans.
I was expecting to see Harry Connick, and I'm glad I did.
Yeah.
Because I love him.
Yes. And he's a great spokesman for New Orleans.
But, white guy.
I know. Can't,
Coin
if
toss.
it's not about us.
No.
We don't like it.
Coin toss was tails.
Yeah.
And I do feel like tails is on a bit of a heater right now.
I saw that I follow a couple of these sports betting accounts. Somebody I think it was at MGM, put $71,000 down on tails to win. And they got it.
Wow.
They had the screenshot of the slip.
And the odds like minus 105 or something?
No, this book was, I think it was MGM. One of the books was offering even money for either side. And so they got even money cashed out.
Well, they placed it at the right book.
Yeah. Boy, I didn't know you could place.
No kidding.
That kind of.
Well, I guess there's no way to.
Yeah, I guess there's no way to fudge that one. Like the Gatorade stuff and all that, they don't take big bets on that. But the coin flip, I mean, 50-50, right?
Gatorade was yellow.
Yeah.
The big
even though
line
Burkhardt
move.
said it was green.
Yeah, what's up with that?
I don't know.
Is he colorblind?
He's saying it was. I was like, yeah, it's clearly yellow. It was
that's not green.
Well, it's the lemon lime flavor.
Okay, I see where he.
But Gatorade has a bastard green flavor. I don't know what it is, but there is a bright green Gatorade. That's the lemon lime Gatorade. That's one of the OG flavors.
Yeah, but that's not what. I mean, it was either the yellow, the orange, the
purple,
red.
Purple was the favorite going into the game.
No, I thought it was
purple
the yellow.
was the favorite when it opened.
Purple was the favorite, and then lemon lime overtook it, so the word was out.
So lemon lime was the favorite by kickoff, but
Yeah.
purple opened the favorite.
Yeah.
Cooper DeJean touchdown 20 plus 2,500.
Yeah.
For any of you who had that.
Someone grabbed it. Sure.
Did they? I don't know.
I guarantee.
Well, I
somebody had it.
think an Eagles defensive touchdown was like 18-1 or 20-1 or something like that.
Well, DeJean was plus 2,500 himself.
Yeah.
No Travis Kelce proposal. So we all lose our big money bets on that.
If you bet on that, I don't know what to tell you.
Well,
also,
go ahead.
We had a guy, Buckley was telling me during the break, we had a guy who bet on Harrison Butker.
Anytime point.
For 1 point.
Yep.
He bet $2,200 to make 100, and Harrison Butker did not put a ball through the uprights because he didn't even attempt to kick. Because the Chiefs attempted 3 2-point conversions when they should have been conducting extra points.
That is the dumbest bet.
Yeah.
He's lucky he only bet 2,200.
Exactly.
I mean,
how do you go
you're a
through an
moron.
entire game and he's not?
No, I mean,
it seems safe.
Placing that bet. No, those
It's
bets
the
are so
safest
dumb.
bet ever.
No, it isn't. It didn't win.
An extra point of nothing.
It didn't win.
And by the way, you had one of the worst red zone offenses in Kansas City against the best red zone defense.
Oh my God.
That is like That was made for Bucker.
Okay, that's fine.
His
but
president was in the stands.
the point is, when you pay that kind of premium for that,
know,
like you are bound to lose one of those.
It was
and-
minus 2,200. I feel like it should have been minus 4,000. Like, I feel like the odds were not enough.
So
you know?
he thought it was a good bet. He's
I
like,
didn't think it was a good bet.
Got
It
a lot
was
of
a bad
value here.
beat.
Yeah, well, he lost.
Bad beat.
So I won a couple. I did not do any of those. Mine was all like yardage or receptions. And I hit a couple. Like I had the Saquon Barkley under. Spags has not given up a 100-yard rusher in any of his postseason games. So I had that. I won that. Barkley only had 57 yards. I hit on a nice. Do you know that Jahan Dotson? Do you know what his over/under for catches was in the game?
Half.
No
maybe?
idea.
Half a reception.
Yeah.
Half. I was like, I'll take a flyer on that, throw it on there, and then so that was nice. He hit 2.
Well, how about on him? If we're talking about him, how about the fact that he scored?
Yeah.
And then he was down.
Yes.
So all the people that had Dotson as the first tutty scorer got hosed.
My best friend thought he won 40-1 on Dotson first touchdown.
Yeah.
And
There was some tasty Dotson numbers out there. The one that killed me, and it was on the same play because I got jobbed. Cost me like $100. Is I had Philadelphia for the longest touchdown, and Devontae Smith hits the 46-yard touchdown, and I'm like, I'm safe as
that
kittens.
should be good, yeah.
Kansas City, they had a nice prop where their longest reception, 33.5 yards, I took the under. I'm like, there's no way Philadelphia is going to let them get a deep throw off. And so throughout the whole game, I'm sitting pretty there with my 46-yard Devontae Smith touchdown, and Kansas City hasn't completed jackass. I think their longest reception at that point was like 12 yards. And then in garbage time, Philadelphia puts in the effing backups, and they hit that 50-yard touchdown to Worthy, and it screws me. Screws me on my $50 under reception bet, and it screws me on the longest touchdown. Freaking A.
And I think the A.J. Brown reading on the sideline prop paid, did it not?
I didn't know there was one. It doesn't surprise me there was one, but yes, he definitely had his book out on the bench.
Yeah, his book was out, and it was the same book.
I didn't know that he was reading it. I just saw that they showed the book.
Well, he was holding it on the sideline while he was sitting on the bench. I saw
yeah,
that.
the prop was, what will he be reading on the sideline in the, you know, all the different book titles?
Yeah.
But it was the same book as the previous.
I wasn't aware that there were maybe going to be other books. I thought that was just the book that he used. Remember they did the whole news story about how this book's beat up because it's been taken on the road this year and
yeah,
stuff
but
like
didn't
that?
we
Like,
do that on the show where the prop of what will he be reading next?
I
And
don't
it's like
think-
Holy Bible and
I don't think we did that one.
we did it on the show, but
we?
we had a segment on it, but it's good that you guys pay attention to our own program.
I was a part of
But,
that segment. I don't remember that prop.
I think you were here. Suk was definitely here.
No.
He's pretending like he remembers, but he doesn't.
No, I thought it was. I just know that they mentioned the book and they showed the book. That's all I know.
All right. Well, let's get to the halftime show. Well, although we've kind of already discussed the halftime show. I mean,
But in all honesty, I think it's what the NFL and probably everyone wants is that it's just polarizing because it's what people talk about.
I didn't think it was that polarizing.
It's polarizing.
I thought it was just.
There's half the country that thought it was great and half the country that was really pissed off about it.
But again, I mean, I'm just. I don't know. It was fine. Like, it was not polar. It was just, pretty good. He didn't screw it up. Not a lot of frills. He's wearing bell bottoms. That was cute. He was very short.
Hey, those bell bottoms are making a comeback now. It's all over the place.
I kind of liked how he had all the dancers and like the way they choreographed the colors and the dancers.
the American flag.
I thought that was
He
good.
had Samuel Jackson out there being Uncle Sam.
He was good. He tied it all together. Other than that,
It was a collective F you to Drake, which I thought was hilarious.
I don't know that it's a memorable Super Bowl halftime show, really. But
No, I don't think from a memorable standpoint this one's going to register in posterity.
And we have the top Super Bowl ads. What rated #1 on the ad meter? We'll get to all of that coming up next on The Fan.
This is the story
Ryan Buckley with this SportsCenter update. First on the Fan, the Eagles are your Super Bowl champs. They dominated the Chiefs in Super Bowl 59, 40-22 the final. Jalen Hurts takes home Super Bowl MVP honors. And Philly are slight favorites to win it again next season at 6-1 odds. The Blazers are back on the hardwood tonight after seeing their win streak snapped on Saturday. They're in the Mile High City for 2 consecutive games before the All-Star break. Matisse Thybulle, Jeremy Grant, Chris Murray, and Robert Williams are all out tonight for Portland. The Nuggets are favored by 9. Tip-off in just a matter of moments. Meanwhile, in Los Angeles, Luka Doncic will make his Lakers debut this evening. That one's at 7:30 on ESPN with the Lakers favored by 12.5. And in Dallas, the Mavericks expect new acquisition Anthony Davis to miss up to a month with an adductor strain that he sustained in his Dallas debut. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Ryan Buckley, the 1080 The Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Did you score a smart speaker over the holidays? Just ask it to play 1080 The Fan. The following show may contain adult themes not suitable for children.
Shut the hell up.
Club 1080 with Isaac and Souk.
It does go well with a chicken.
I didn't know hanging out with you was making me smarter. Full disclosure, Morty, it's not. Temporary superintelligence is just a side effect of the mega seeds dissolving in your rectal cavity. Oh, man. Yeah, and once those seeds wear off, you're going to lose most of your motor skills, and you're also going to lose a significant amount of brain functionality for 72 hours, Morty. Starting right about now.
Club 1080 with Isaac and Souk is brought to you by Pub Beer, the official beer of cheap fun.
You kind of like whatever it is you like.
Football's football.
Football's football. Football's football.
Football is football.
Football's football.
Athletics is athletics.
Yeah, football's football.
The best part of football is football. And so you got to do football.
Football's football. The only way to get better at is to play football.
Football's football.
I think it's a Himalayan snowcock.
What is the freaking Texans doing?
He did it early. He did a lot of dirt. It's insane.
The era has begun.
Head coach?
God.
What?
Kick the ball, you little bitch.
Space Force.
All right, nice to have you along. It's the Club Hour where we traditionally, the Monday after the Super Bowl, go through the ads, the commercials.
Well, as two white guys, shouldn't we complain about everything? I mean, let's go.
We can.
Just start our bitch fest.
I'm trying to think if I have any complaints. I don't really have any complaints. I would say that the ads were...
Yeah, they were fine.
Yeah.
I say the same thing every year. They're never as great as people say they used to be, and I never think they're terrible. There's a handful of ones that are clever that always make me chuckle. There's usually one or two that I'm like, oh, that's really good. Insane. And the rest of it just kind of, falls by the wayside.
I thought the Catherine O'Hara, William Dafoe...
Yeah, the Michelob Ultra ones.
Ultra Hustle one was great.
Yeah,
where they're hustling people for their Michelob Ultras.
Yes.
In pickleball. That was great. That was great partly because of who they cast for it. Like, I'm sorry, Catherine O'Hara, absolutely perfect for that.
Yeah.
And so is William Dafoe.
Yeah. And
Willem Dafoe.
It's William, right?
No.
Willem.
His name's Willem.
Oh, Willem, yeah. Yeah, by the way, great shape.
Yeah.
You know, he was showing out the guns.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of fun.
I thought I don't know how people felt about this one, but I thought the David Beckham thing, because, they teased that, the Stella Artois bit where they teased that way ahead of the Super Bowl.
A lot of people are doing that now where they tease the commercials.
Yeah, where his parents sat him down in a pub and said, hey, David, we've never told you this, but you have a brother. Mm-hmm. And then he goes and finds him. And it was freaking Matt Damon.
Now that came in, so they do a.
It was a good bit.
Yeah, the advertisers do the ranking on watched and the positive reviews.
I have it right here, the ad meter.
Yeah, Stella came in at number 4.
Did it?
Yeah, the Dave and Dave commercial that came in at 4.
I looked at. I was just looking at the top 3.
3 was Michelob Ultra, the Ultra Hustle. 2 was the Little Farmer for Lay's, the little girl growing the potato. Yeah, you like that. And I think beer commercials do it better than anyone else, and I really enjoyed both of the big beer commercials. I guess Stella was one too, but the Budweiser First Delivery, the Clydesdale, that was the best ranked.
It was ranked number 1.
Yeah,
and I don't know.
You didn't like that one?
I liked it mainly because of the song. I think that song is kick ass.
Yeah,
and I had to go put that on my Spotify after I heard it.
Yeah.
Hadn't heard that song in years. I'm like, oh yeah, let your love flow, or let your love go, or
let your love flow.
And who is that? It's the
that's the Doobie Brothers, I think, right?
No, it's not the Doobies. It's the what's their name? Anyway, It was
the
one,
Bellamy brothers.
The Bellamy brothers, yeah.
Yeah.
It was the one where the horse couldn't go out to deliver the beer. He's too young.
And then a keg gets left behind, and so it delivers it itself. And then it's like, hey, delivery in since 18, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, come on, it's cute. Look, Budweiser always does a good job.
And then my favorite one that came in at number 7 on the ad meter, but it was my favorite, is Bud Light's back. The big man on the cul-de-sac was the best one, with Post Malone and Shane Gillis. And then Peyton Manning in the jorts. That was great. I very much enjoyed the big man on the cul-de-sac.
Yeah, they're having a lame party.
Yeah. And Post Malone and Shane Gillis are there in their dad outfits. And the neighbor's having a lame party, and so they invite him over, and they get a great block party going.
What was it? Something about, is your lawnmower
Yeah, he goes, your
cooler?
lawnmower's a smoker? And he goes, no, my smoker cuts grass.
Yeah,
I pretty much spent my entire money on it. And then there's this giant cooler, and Peyton Manning shows up and asks Shane Gillis, that's a lot of Bud Lights. How many does that hold? And he looks at him and goes, as many as you need.
Yeah, that was good.
That was my favorite. I also really liked the Uber Eats Century of Cravings, where McConaughey was doing he was Ditka and all the different, it's a conspiracy theory to sell food. McConaughey as Ditka was, that put it over the top.
Did you like Flag 50? I see that's number 6
No, I
on
thought
here.
that one was dumb.
I kind of liked it.
Did you?
Well, he walks up, he goes, I'm Brad. She goes, yeah, I can read. I thought that was pretty good.
The only thing about that one is no.
Because Brad was on his shirt.
Yeah, just no man would ever be proud of or think that playing flag football is tough. Like,
I know, but that's not the point.
I know. It's just, the whole ad was like they want to make flag football a varsity sport for women, which is great.
The NFL does.
Yeah, the NFL does. But the whole premise of men being upset that women are playing flag football, no man wants to play flag football. That might be the least manly activity known to man.
How about an appearance from plasticky Meg Ryan?
Yeah, that was weird.
For the Hellman's ad.
Yeah, that was weird.
And can I give you a little something that I didn't anticipate, but I jotted it down because I hadn't heard the song in freaking years, maybe 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
But Mama Said Knock You Out in the cancer ad.
Yeah.
LL Cool J appreciation moment.
Yeah. And it was a cool ad, but people are pissed because it was Pfizer.
Yeah, I know.
And Pfizer doesn't have a great reputation.
I understand.
That was
But
cool.
I was more like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Mama Said Knock You Out. And then I'm starting to like groove to the song.
Oh, yeah, dude.
And then I went down a rabbit hole of LL Cool J music.
Yeah, yeah. LA's the man.
Well, I don't know about that.
Dude, back in the day, LL Cool J was.
Well, back in the day, he was.
Not anymore. Now he's a weird, puffy actor.
Is that his best song?
Oh, that's a bold
It's
statement.
the best intro to a song. Don't call it a comeback.
Yeah.
It's so good when it starts.
That video, like 8th grade me thought that video, and if you don't know, he was in a boxing ring with like a hoodie on, and it was black and white. 8th grade me thought that was the coolest freaking music video of all time. And LL Cool J is underappreciated.
I just had forgotten about him and that, and it's like, wow, how about that?
He went into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame a couple years ago, and it was him and like Eminem did some stuff. It was pretty good. But because you got like old LL Cool J, like Rock the Bells, and then you had like later on you had him like being like he was singing like love songs, like like Hey Lover and stuff. So there was like 2 LLs. I tend to like the earlier LL a little bit more.
All right. Well,
I'm trying to think if there's the Harrison Ford Jeep one I thought was pretty good.
I was reading an article today about him, about why we're seeing him in all these endorsement campaigns now.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty good. It was basically saying, it's kind of the new way that old guys like him, and he's in stuff. He's in Shrinking.
Yeah, but he's like 80.
But it's kind of the new way that those guys stay relevant.
Mm-hmm.
And oh, by the way, he can charge $5 million.
Yeah.
And they said that he used to hate doing those. He said he's like, I'm not doing that. I'm Harrison freaking Ford.
Yeah.
I don't need to do that. But they've convinced him, they've let him have some, like, he really likes it's very important to him how he comes across and what the writing is and what the product is, and everything has to be right.
Yeah.
So they've let him kind of have
some control.
I don't know control, but he can sign off.
Sure.
And they basically signed a deal with Jeep, or I think it was Jeep, or it was one of his other ones. Maybe he had a Scotch company he was doing, where they said, if you don't like this, we're scrapping the whole thing. And
so,
he was like, okay, I'll
that's
do
some
it.
creative control.
So his team is like, well, Harry, this is a great way for you to, a la Martha Stewart, just stay in the, you're staying relevant culturally.
lexicon.
And you make $5 million to do it. And he's like, all right.
Why not?
Throw in my earring. I'll be there in 10 minutes.
I saw someone say that the commercials are the who's who of who wants to stay rich.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just
Because
thought
Martha was in one too.
Yeah, Martha was in one. I just like this Jeep makes me happy even though my name's Ford.
Although I have a feeling that Harrison Ford is going to stay rich, and Martha Stewart, no matter whether they do an ad or not.
That's correct.
They don't have to do endorsement campaigns.
That is true.
It used to be beneath actors like him.
Yeah.
But it's not anymore.
No, it's nice. I don't know. I think it's kind of cool to see Harrison Ford being out there.
You know what I like?
The only one that I didn't like that I thought was dumb, and I saw it twice, was the stupid anti-hate commercial with Tom Brady and Snoop Dogg.
Yeah, who hates hate?
That's
I love
so
hate.
stupid.
I think that it's fun when, and Matt Damon is the epitome of this, but Harrison Ford's got a little bit of it now. When you find out that your very serious actor is
has some
fun
personality.
and funny, I love that.
Yeah.
Like Matt Damon,
Yeah, he's got a great personality.
he's just great.
Affleck's like that.
Affleck,
Yeah.
and now Harry Ford's got a
Yeah,
little
they
bit
don't
of
take
that.
themselves so seriously.
Yeah, they're willing to.
They're willing to be the butt of a joke, or
joke
to
and-
be lighthearted, and
Yeah.
I like that.
I'm down on that. Whereas Christopher Walken, you know,
Why are you going there?
what?
Christopher Walken.
Did you just do that in an accent?
No.
Is that New York?
What was that? We're gonna need to clip that.
Why are you going there?
Why are you going there?
Did you do that for
What?
Christopher Walken?
I do that.
Do what?
What
are you talking about?
What did you say about Christopher Walken?
I said unlike Christopher Walken, who would never do something like that.
Oh, I thought
But he
you
kind of does.
I know. I thought you were taking a shot at Christopher Walken.
Well, I kind of was, but then
Yeah, so I heard it right. Why are you taking shots?
Well,
Why are you doing
you
that?
don't even know what I said.
You were taking a shot at him. I
What are you
couldn't
doing
believe
here? What are you doing here?
Why are you doing? Hey, Christopher
But then I
Walken.
thought, he will
Yes.
do. Well, he does SNL.
And he did like Lay's commercials. He's done Super Bowl
Yeah,
commercials.
You're right. I stand down. I stand down on that. That was an unfair shot.
I didn't like you taking shots at my man.
Well, I was just thinking about the article we talked about here, the interview with him recently, where he's very serious. He's a very serious man.
Yes.
But you're right. He does have the ability to laugh at himself and
loosen up a
be
little bit.
funny.
Yeah.
Who should I have thrown in there?
I just didn't like. I thought it was
who's
an unfair shot.
We do that.
Hey, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Hey.
It's really good. The clip's really good.
Who should? Before we wrap this up, who's like the takes themselves too seriously guy?
Tommy Lee Jones. He's like a
Oh, he does?
notorious red ass. Daniel Day-Lewis.
Yes.
Method actors.
Ooh, Daniel Day. There you go.
Christian Bale.
Yeah, lighten up, dude.
Yeah.
Settle down, Cookie.
Well, I would say Anthony Hopkins, but he's even kind of let his hair down and done a
He's
couple
done a little
things.
bit. Yeah, he's loosened up a little bit.
All right. More hot Super Bowl talk next. Do we need? Oh, I have. Here's the tease. Did you see the? Because they'll do the celebrity panoramic or the pan around for celebs.
Who's there?
Did you see who was sitting next to each other, like palling around? It was the oddest couple you've ever seen.
Huh. I mean, I remember.
And they're not a couple, but
okay. I saw some people, but
in what world are these two hanging out?
All right, I'm intrigued.
We've got that next on the Fan.
A super showdown.
The
at our guy Christopher Walken.
Hey, why are you going there?
I didn't like it.
And when you get really
Why are
mad,
you going there?
You do a New York accent.
I guess.
Big
it's insane.
deal.
It's my Mike Francesa.
It's insane. So I saw John Hamm. So they had John Hamm and who's the
Bradley
guy?
Cooper. It was
Cooper,
a
that's
GD
right.
handsome off to start the game, and Ham was housed.
Yeah, I love John Hamm. Do we need more John Hamm in our lives?
I'm a big believer of more John Hamm is always good.
Because I feel like we don't have the right amount. Like, if you took everything that Jason Kelsey is doing and insert John Hamm, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, at least 50%.
Yeah.
50% less Kelsey, 50% more John Hamm, and now we're talking.
He's great.
And I just I enjoy that. Like, what's the two most handsome men we can think of that are fans of the Eagles and the Chefs? One was drunk, and the other one was holding like a special needs kid, and I don't know, away we go.
I can't say I knew that Hamm was a Chiefs guy.
He's a Midwest guy. I always thought he was a St. Louis guy, but
yeah, I thought he was a St. Louis guy as well.
But apparently he's a Chiefs fan too. And poor bastard, his voice cracked at the biggest moment.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, it's rough. He's not gonna live that one down. Cooper hit it out of the ballpark though.
So did you figure out what two I was talking about?
I was trying to think because they kept showing all the different celebrities up there, and I'm trying to think of like what pairing I saw that was like, that's weird.
I want to say it was McCartney and someone.
No, Paul McCartney was up there.
Yeah, McCartney was up there.
He was with his family though, I think, wasn't he?
They showed Kevin Hart a bunch. He was up there flapping around. Bradley Cooper, Ice Spice, and T Swizzle.
They had. It was just the oddest. It's honestly, I don't think you could get a more oddball pairing than these two, and they were sitting next to each other, talking to each other, clearly engaged with one another.
What do we got?
Kevin Costner and Pete Davidson.
Okay, I do remember that. I do remember seeing Kevin Costner and
So
Pete Davidson,
what is
but
that about?
I don't know.
How does that happen?
My guess
Are they
is that
friends?
It's no. What those thing is like that's a production company like Paramount or something has the suite, and both of those guys got tickets through their entertainment agency, and they just happen to be sitting there together.
And there's only a finite number of suites, and anybody who wants one, like ultimately, not everyone's going to get their own, so there will be people of same industry sharing.
But then, how does Pete Davidson and Kevin Costner bond? Does Pete initiate? I assume Pete initiates.
Pete has to initiate. I'm guessing Kevin Costner has no idea who Pete Davidson is.
And are they buddies now? I have questions.
Yeah, I don't know.
Costner seems pretty cool. Like if you got him.
Yeah.
I mean, he takes himself pretty seriously.
He
We were just
does take
talking about
himself very seriously.
But I think he's also seems like fairly down to earth.
I'll tell you what. Given the choice between sitting next to Pete Davidson or Kevin Costner, I'd rather sit next to Kevin Costner. What am I going to talk to Pete Davidson about? Like, what's it like to do shrooms? Like, oh my God, Pete.
I think he's kind of funny.
The Kevin Costner to me.
But Costner's got certainly a lot more to offer.
Yeah, that to me is a very, very interesting guy who has a lot of passion projects.
I just don't think you're getting a lot out of him.
I would like to sit next to Kevin Costner. Pete Davidson, I just.
But Costner's not going to give you anything.
I'm not certain. I bet you if you asked Costner about Kevin Costner, he would love it. I think like if you sat down next to Taylor Swift and we're like, oh my God, it's Taylor Swift. What's it like to be you? Nothing's happening. I think if you sat down and were like, oh my God, Kevin Costner, I love your movies. Please talk to me about directing XYZ or what it was like. And maybe you brought up a movie that isn't as like a Perfect World is one of my favorite Kevin Costner movies that isn't like a huge smash. Or just ask him about like Horizon, his pet project. And brother, that guy is going to go on for 9 years. He loves to talk about Kevin Costner.
I don't think he would with you though, is the problem.
Why are you going there?
Why going there?
Hey.
But maybe Costner was asking him for some tips on how to hit the hots. Because nobody's got a list like Pete.
Yeah, Pete's doing great.
Costner's single now?
He's getting all his tattoos removed. And you think Costner has a hard time getting hots?
No, but I mean...
It's a different kind of hot.
I bet Kevin Costner can do well with just about any kind of hot.
Well, he can, but Pete's...
Pete's got a reputation.
Got another level.
Yeah. Dude, Pete's doing great.
Did you see the Trump Jackson Mahomes photo?
Oh, yeah. Well, the whole turns out the whole Mahomes family loves them some Trumpies. And so, yeah, the whole family was up there taking photos with the POTUS.
Trump regaling Jackson with tales of his old groping days. I can show you a thing or two, kid.
Those guys have surprisingly a lot in common, given everything and inappropriately advancing towards women.
Yeah, they do. A lot of class in that photo, huh?
Yeah. Certainly is something. They gave him some... I've heard I've heard different angles because like when they first showed him it seemed like the crowd was cheering, and then I saw other videos when he was on the field and tons of people were booing. So shocking. Half the crowd hated him, half the crowd loved him, but he was the first sitting U.S. president to ever go to a Super Bowl.
So 30 seconds of airtime on the Super Bowl cost you $8 million.
It's a lot of coin.
That's crazy. That's a record.
Yeah, and you wonder why like people do the halftime show for free. It costs you $8 million to get shown for 30 seconds, and you get to be on there for 15 minutes uninterrupted. Yeah, that's worth something. You see Kendrick Lamar, like his streams and like his tickets. I mean, all that stuff just goes through the roof after that performance.
Yeah, that's to be expected. But I kind of wonder, like, let's just say the three of us bought an ad.
Yeah.
With our millions.
Kanye West did it.
How big of a difference does that make for a product or whatever you're pushing? Like Buck brought this up. He was talking about how, if it's towards the end of the game and a blowout, a lot of people have been drinking. Yeah. They're at a party. Like, what is the actual? I mean, I get it. You're basing the price off of how many eyeballs are on it.
Sure.
So you're paying that freight.
Yeah.
What's the most effective time to place your ad?
Well, everyone always wants it right around the halftime.
Because more people.
That's when the most viewers.
But is there a law of diminishing returns if you get into the second half and it's a blowout?
Yes.
And people aren't really paying attention. Like, I know that I did. We were just talking about the ads in the last segment. Yeah. There's several of them I had to go back and rewatch.
I'll bet you
because I was captive. It was just me watching the game at home, and I still missed some of them.
I'll bet you that it's harder to get your ad in the beginning and near half than it is at the end.
Yeah, I think I'd want that first commercial break or so.
You do, and I think that's where you see most of the big heavy hitters
because people are watching for them.
And by then, again, people are kind of tuned out. If the game's a blowout, if people have been drinking, all that stuff, you want to be towards the beginning. And by the way, the text line is right. If I were to sit next to Kevin Costner, you know what I would open with? I would tell Kevin Costner that Avatar ripped him off from Dances with Wolves. That's the sort of suck up that I think gets Kevin Costner to talk to me.
His eyes may just light up.
Yes.
Like, finally, someone noticed.
I'm like, hey, Kevin, does it bother you that Avatar made $1 billion and they just ripped you off and made a horse crap CGI version?
I think I like you, Jason.
Of your masterpiece?
What was your name again?
And then I think he just launches into being Kevin Costner, and I'm interested in listening to Kevin Costner being Kevin Costner.
Yeah, I think the way you turn him off is ask him about Yellowstone.
Yes.
Ask him about being...
Yeah.
Was it
John Dutton?
John Dutton.
No, you got to go to the stuff he loves. You talk about the Old West.
Up next, there was a bit of a catastrophe last night that no one noticed, but somebody pointed it out on social media, and worth mentioning here. We will get to that next. Here's Buck.
Why are you going there?
It's Football Friday on The Fan.
Brought to you by the Odyssey app.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Ryan Buckley with this SportsCenter update. First on The Fan, the Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl 59 champions. They steamrolled the Chiefs 40-22 the final. Jalen Hurts takes home Super Bowl MVP honors after throwing for 2 touchdowns and rushing for another. Philly are slight favorites to win it again next season. They lead the odds board at 6-1. The Chiefs, Ravens, and Bills are all 7-1 to lift the Lombardi Trophy. The Blazers are back on the hardwood tonight. They're a little bit short-handed. Matisse Thybulle, Jeremy Grant, Chris Murray, and Robert Williams all out this evening against the Denver Nuggets. They are already underway in the Mile High City. Denver leading 32-19 with about 2 minutes to play in the first quarter. Meanwhile, in Los Angeles, Luka Doncic expected to make his Lakers debut against the Jazz tonight. That one tips at 7:30 on ESPN with the Lakers favored by 12.5. And in Dallas, the Mavericks expect new acquisition Anthony Davis to miss up to a month with an adductor strain from his Dallas debut. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Ryan Buckley, D1080 The Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Jump back to earlier parts of your favorite fan shows on the Odyssey app. The only way to rewind Portland's sports leader, 1080 The Fan.
From Warren Allen, Attorneys at Law, I'm George McCoy, and when accidents happen, I'm the guy you deploy. Don't
I'm gonna roll this road. I'm gonna kick some ass. I'm gonna rise. I'm gonna kick little ass. Rock, flying and eagle.
Club 1080 with Isaac and Souk is brought to you by Pub Beer, the official beer of Cheap Fun.
Double sun power!
We had
Why are you
another
going
plane
there?
incident.
What happened?
In Scottsdale, at one of the little private airports in Scottsdale, with all the little PJs flying in.
All the Richies?
All the Richies. I guess Vince Neil of Motley Crue.
What?
By the way, who knew Vince Neil had a private jet? He's got private jet money? I guess so. But I guess his jet skidded off the runway and crashed into a smaller jet. And not like a fire explosion, but think like massive car wreck, and it killed the pilot. He wasn't on the plane. His girlfriend was. She broke a bunch of ribs and
Killed the pilot of his plane?
It didn't say. It just said one of the when you look at like it completely crumpled the front of the other plane. So I think it's probably that pilot, because the bigger jet basically just demolished the front of the other one.
So he had the bigger jet?
I think he had the bigger jet. But yeah, it's his plane, but I guess he wasn't on it, but his girlfriend was. So a bunch of people went to the hospital, and you don't really think about like head-on collisions with airplanes on the ground, but you know, I guess when you think about how fast you're going on the runway to take off, you skid out and crash headfirst into another jet. The hell's going on with airplanes, man?
Why are they going there?
Why are they going there? Why are you going there? Don't take shots at Christopher Walken. I turn into a Brooklyn whatever. A Brooklyn
cab
jabroni.
driver, I think.
I came across this thread last night, or maybe it was today, of some tech bro who said the following. He put a thread up, and he said, 2025 Super Bowl will go down in history not because of Kendrick Lamar, Donald Trump, or Taylor Swift, but because big tech spent $200 million to advertise AI only for their worst nightmare to come true on air. And then he says, the wild story you missed last night. So he writes, for the first time ever, AI companies dominated advertising, spending a staggering $8 million per 30-second spot. OpenAI, Google, Meta, and Salesforce all battled for America's attention, but what happened next shocked everyone. OpenAI's debut commercial, The Intelligence Age, aimed high, and you saw that one, right? That was the one with it was like the history of human innovation, the wheel, and then,
Yeah, the Meta one was the glasses one. Right,
so
with the Ray-Ban.
Yeah, so he says, a cinematic journey through human innovation from the wheel to the light bulb to the internet. Their message? ChatGPT was the next great leap in human progress, but the reaction from the crowd? Uninterested. So Google saw this as their moment to shine. They created 50 different AI-powered commercials, one for each state. Each ad showed how their Gemini AI could help local businesses thrive. Then disaster struck. Their algorithm made a catastrophic error about cheese consumption. The ad had to be pulled mid-game. Even more telling, 31 out of the 39 Super Bowl advertisers admitted that they didn't trust their AI to create the actual ads. The irony was painful. Meta promoted AI glasses. Salesforce showcased AI assistants. Together, tech giants spent over $200 million promoting artificial intelligence, but they all faced the same impossible challenge. How do you make people trust something that isn't human? The NFL embraced AI everywhere. Automated highlight reels, real-time statistic generation, AI-powered cameras tracking every player. Even injury prevention was driven by AI. But something unexpected was about to steal the show. While the tech giants struggled with their polished AI narratives, raw human emotion erupted. Charles O'Menihue crying uncontrollably on the sideline. Patrick Mahomes, tears in his eyes, embracing teammates. These weren't staged moments. It was real. And when Donald Trump came in and stole the show, when shown on the Jumbotron during Joe Batiste's national anthem, he stood and saluted. The packed stadium roared in approval, a moment of raw, unscripted unity, the beautiful unpredictability of human reactions. The Eagles' victory celebration showed it all best, players embracing, not polished PR moments. They were moments of pure human connection that no AI could replicate. And the takeaway was clear. In the increasingly AI-driven world, authenticity stands out more than anything. While tech companies spent millions to appear human, it was real moments created by real people that stole the show. And then he goes on to, there's a deeper takeaway for everyone on this. Your greatest competitive advantage isn't technology, it's your humanity. Your ability to forge real connections, just like those Super Bowl moments showed us.
First off, I don't know if any of that is like true and that is going to take hold. But I love that.
Yeah.
I think that's fantastic because this is my old man yelling to the clouds moment. And I'm not yelling. I just understand that, like, as I get older, again, I understand that things aren't meant for me. And I'm totally okay with that. And the worst thing you can do as a guy that's getting older is, I liked it my way back in the day, and so to hell with you, right? Like that you just come across as ignorant and out of touch. But I really just have no desire to go down the AI road. I really don't. Like, we're reaching a point where there will be no human interaction, right? Like, I saw, what was it? I think my kid is going to school to be a computer coder, right? And I think Zuckerberg recently came out and said that a lot of their code is going to be written by AI now, and there won't be anyone to work. And we know with self-driving cars, that was Musk's thing, is there'll be no more Uber drivers, there'll be no more truckers. Now no one wants to order anything, right? Everything wants to be done through the app and delivered to you and left at your doorstep. And it just feels like, again, to go down this road, we're losing our ability to actually talk to other human beings. There's a whole plague with, have you ever seen like young kids, anytime they have to pick up the phone and call someone or go face to face with an interview, their anxiety levels go through the roof. And I couldn't agree more. That's not what we're supposed to be.
It's just an interesting observation that, all these companies threw a bunch of money at this, thinking the time is now. He's right. It pretty much all backfired.
I love it.
They had to pull ads.
I want it to backfire. I don't think that does.
Look, the point here, overarching, is that it doesn't mean anything in terms of the advancement of AI and all that.
Sure, it's coming.
It is, but it's just for a brief moment in time, authenticity stole the show.
Well, aren't we reaching
I'm
a
glad
point
he pointed
where
that out.
Just because, again, what's the old adage? Because you can do it doesn't mean that you should. I just think a lot of times when we make advancements, did anyone ask for those advancements or stop to think, is that good for us? That's my old man.
Yeah.
But I get it. Again, it's coming.
Well, you got to go there.
Well, you got to go there.
All right, we'll wrap it up next on The Fan.
A champion is crowned.
Ohio State has won the national championship. And a drenched Ryan Day and the jubilant Buckeyes are celebrating all over this field.
But there's room for improvement in college football's postseason.
Kept looking up until about 10:15. I hate to tell you this. Could not find the executive order that Trump signed banning Ohio State from winning a title.
Talk about it and get the inside story from Portland's sports leader, 1080.
I can't believe God gave me the chance to be a Buckeye.
The Fan.
Hey, it's Dusty. Victorico's breakfast tacos are the perfect way to start your day. Fresh eggs, savory meats, creamy chipotle sauce, and all the flavors you love. They're fast, delicious, and ready to go. Visit them in store or order online for takeout at victoricos.com.
But I passed the breath test. This is McDaniel Reynolds with the Reynolds Defense Firm, and we specialize in one thing. We represent good people facing DUI charges. While you know that it's illegal to drive with a .08 or greater blood alcohol content, not everyone knows that you could be arrested in Oregon for an alcohol DUI even if you blow well under a .08. This is a pretty loose standard, and it's a way that many of the good people we represent find themselves needing our help when they thought they were doing everything right. The Reynolds Defense Firm. We're solid, we're here if you need us, and we are very good at what we do.
Portland Perks.
Looking for some fun that the whole family can enjoy? Right now, you can get one ride bracelet to Oaks Amusement Park and get a second one free. A limited quantity is available only at portlandperks.com. Oaks Park, where the fun never ends.
Hey, let's throw a party this year for the big game.
Oh, great idea. But first, we should get a new TV. One of the top-rated brands. Samsung, LG, or Sony.
Okay, I'll start shopping on the internet and then head over to the warehouse club.
Well, but if that's all we do, we'll be sorry.
Why?
Because the best deals on those top-rated TVs are at video only, not online or at the club.
Video only?
Yep. We can save up to $500 if we shop smart.
Or we'll be sorry.
All right, everybody, it's here. The March to Spring Training and Opening Day is officially upon us. Hey, I'm Rob Bradford.
Usually there's some meat left on the bone, but yeah, it was kind of it was over very quickly.
Yeah, it was a blowout.
Yeah. I think in closer games, maybe there's a little bit more to get into, but yeah, you're right. But what else are you going to talk about? You going to talk about the big Four Nations tournament coming up?
Pitchers and catchers.
Hey, TGL.
Yeah, TGL Tuesday tomorrow.
My goodness. What's the
Actually, I regret to inform you, I think we have a week off of TGL. We don't get it back till next week. Yeah.
Why would they do that?
They don't understand how big a part of our show it is on Tuesdays.
Unbelievable.
That is unbelievable. Yeah, we venture into the new year.
It's our new calendar year.
For Sports Talk.
It's our lunar new year for Sports Talk.
Where we have to kind of drum some crap up.
There you go. Someone will do something stupid.
They always do.
Yeah.
Somebody always steps in it.
Someone will get caught doing something or, Did you see were you following any of the Kanye West stuff over the last couple days?
I mean, I've seen it, but I don't care enough to.
My man was on a Twitter heater that I've never seen.
Yeah, it was unbelievable.
Flew too close to the sun, though. Eventually got banned.
Yeah, Isaac and I talked a little bit about that Friday before the show, but then did you see, you mentioned that he had a commercial ad that aired in a bunch of different markets. I don't think it was all markets, but apparently it sent people to his website where he was selling T-shirts with a swastika on it.
Yeah. I was watching the feed out of Los Angeles, whatever local Fox was in LA, and I certainly saw it, and I was like, oh my God, they let him have a commercial? That dude, 2 days ago, called himself Yeetler. He was the Black Hitler.
Yeah.
And, they let him have a Super Bowl ad? But they wouldn't let, Ashley Madison have an ad, but they let a guy who called himself the Black Hitler, they let him have an ad? That's interesting. And selling swastika T-shirts. Way to go, Kanye. But sometimes, remember, because Will Ferrell did those old Milwaukee ads, but those only aired in
small markets,
small
right?
markets.
Yeah.
So,
do you think anyone told Kanye or asked Kanye, why are you going there?
Hey, why are you going there? And then on Sunday, he just started tweeting porn. That was it. He went from all Jews are evil and they're the devil and Hitler was great. And then for whatever reason on Saturday or Sunday, he just started tweeting porn and daring Elon to ban him. And then eventually, I think on Sunday, someone over at Twitter was like, we should probably do something about that. I just would be fascinated to I would love to just sit and observe him while he's he got back on Twitter after an absence and was like, watch this. And it was just this steady stream. Where was he?
A little bit about this movie before, but I envision him having that Diddy inner monologue that you see in the Forgetting Sarah Marshall. Get into the Greek when Diddy's just talking about what he's texting people, but way more inflammatory. I imagine it like that.
Was he just sitting on a couch somewhere? Just a stream of consciousness flowing out of him? Was he in the bathroom? What was he doing? I just, where's that reality show? I just want to watch Kanye West tweet.
With his permanently naked wife just walking around?
And that's a whole other thing. Yeah, he's a nude wife. I want to know what she's got going on. Because she just looks like a zombie. Her face doesn't move, but she just walks around naked with him.
Yeah, it's really weird. They host dinner parties and stuff, and she comes to the table completely naked.
Does she really?
Yes. Huh. There's video of people gathering and breaking bread at Kanye's house, and they're all wearing different stuff, and she's just sitting there naked at the dinner table.
Huh. Are you allowed to comment on that?
I don't know how that goes.
Because, she's just...
What are you going to say?
Well, I don't know. I mean, are you allowed to be that's...
Hey, nice tease.
Yeah, I mean, is it rude not to comment? If I showed up at the Robb household and Nurse Nice has the up-tops out, is it rude of me to not acknowledge? Or is it rude of me to acknowledge?
I think you just go with it.
You just all right. And then do I turn to my gal and or is that competition? You don't want that?
No. She's the host.
She's the...
don't upstage her.
Her name's Bianca or something?
I think that's right. It's Bianca or Brianna Sensori. Yeah.
Why do we care about these people?
I don't know.
This is my question about.
I don't know if anyone cares, but they're fascinating.
Are they? I don't think they are.
He is such a weird dude.
I just think he's a moron.
Well, according to him, he's a genius. Maybe not a stable genius like our fearless leader, but a genius nonetheless.
All right. Well, good luck with your. What's his name? Kanye?
Kanye.
Yeezy.
Yay.
Or Yeetler now. He's Hitler. He's the Black Hitler.
Good luck with that. All right, well.
Not a fan of the Jews.
What are we going to do tomorrow?
No TGL, no football.
Pitchers and catchers, man.
Pitchers and catchers.
P's and C's. I'll be bringing some hot Mariner takes.
54%. You're our Jerry DeBoto. I feel pretty good. It's what we do on this program. 54%.
Everybody have a great night.